right, everybody, welcome to Arsenal Fan Circle at Thursday Night Forum. Gather around, you're all welcome here, and pull up a chair. And this podcast is just for me, really, because I've been away for 2 weeks and we have a lot to talk about. Gary, a lot can happen in 2 weeks of football.
Oh yes, yes, a lot happens. I don't even know what to say. Repeat that again?
A lot can happen in 2 weeks of football.
No, for sure, for sure. It looked like that team was gonna.
That was an easy one, Alonso. I
Yeah,
threw him an easy
it
one there.
did. It was still too easy. I was expecting something a little difficult. So everybody
That's
in the
what she
chat,
said.
right? Thank you,
Yes.
Lonzo. And, we'll have Stan in a little bit, but yeah, we got Arsenal Misfit. Welcome to the show, Big Gunner, Red John.
Red John's here.
Yes.
Greetings and salutations to
Yeah,
Red
no.
John.
Where we were 2 weeks ago to where we are today, right?
2 weeks ago, Gary, I was driving toward Florida, and the second part of the trip was West Ham Arsenal. You want to start there? The Carabao
Oh, that's
Cup?
right. You haven't even been here for a while, have you? Yeah,
Yeah, 2 weeks ago
that
was
was
a
the
long
start
time.
of the end of the season for us, right? I mean, it shows how far we still have to go. I mean, West Ham, yes, they might have been playing, some of their starters and whatnot, but I think we didn't even look like we knew how to play some football more than they looked like, they beat us down or anything like that. And that's the problem. I think Arteta has to be able to play a style of football that even his second and third, players off the bench can play. If not, then he's got the wrong players on the bench. So whatever style he wants to play, they need to know it, or he needs to set them up to play a better football. It was 1-0, right? But still, we didn't look good, and we had opportunities to score, and not everybody showed up. So
Yeah,
that's the other part. It's like,
not everybody shut up. Exactly.
when we talk about City, all those players that are on the bench, when they come on with a little bit of hunger. Nobody, the only person that really came out for me was Reece Nelson, who's always shown it since he's been healthy, right? Since he's been healthy and he's gotten a chance, he's always come out in there and you go, he looks pretty, like he wants to get out there and do something. Everybody else seems to think, is this another game? So yeah, no, yeah, that was 2 weeks ago. That's the start of what
2 weeks ago.
two game losing streak for us. And I think we had a lot to do with that. And it's the same things all season. We're not clinical in front of goal. We don't create enough chances. And the defense really can't hold up even when it does. We still need, we still don't create enough chances. So same problem, different day.
Yeah, listen, Red John, we will get into. I want to go around the house here a little bit on the West Ham game. That was the furthest most thing 2 weeks ago, and then we'll talk about the Aaron Ramsdale dad comments. But we'll definitely, because that's the most recent, we will bring that forward pretty soon. Alonso, welcome to the show. And listen, start out with West Ham. For me, Arteta picked a team that wasn't good enough on the day to, but that's an indictment on the players for me as well. I don't know if you agree with that or not, Alonso, but what are your thoughts on the West Ham game going out of the Carabao Cup?
Hi Ray, hey Gary. Thanks for having me on the show. Good to see people in the chat as well. Yeah, I mean, I didn't see the game, so I don't know how to comment on that. But I saw the lineup, and it seemed like Arteta wanted to rotate and start some players that don't get the most playing time, as has been in the rest of the season. Though you kind of wish and hope that something will come out of it. We all know West Ham aren't really in the best of table. They're not really in the best of table as far as getting a trophy. So you may see it as this is the best way to get them a trophy. So they start off the game with a stronger lineup, to whereas Arsenal, Arteta seems like this is not an important um, cup tournament, so he doesn't really put out the strongest group. lineup. So it's always been the case at these tournaments that we haven't really done well in at all. We've made some finals back in 2011 and 2000, I think 18.
Yeah.
So it kind of shows you that Arsenal don't really take this cup seriously. So my expectations, though we should win every game, like Gary has says in the past,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of hard to do so whenever you're always in Europe or you don't value that cup as much as other clubs should.
Yeah. Listen, I wonder, and I'll go to Gary a little quickly as well. I wonder, Gary, do the players value this competition? As fans keep saying, is the fourth choice in terms of competitions for us. Do the players value it?
If they
I mean,
don't, then that's indicative of the coaching. That's pretty bad coaching. That's their one time to actually showcase whether or not they deserve minutes in the Premier League, if they deserve minutes in the Champions League, if they deserve starts for this team. Every opportunity. That's why I think that's why you see when City puts out their teams and they go to their bench, those players come out and they want to play, right? So I don't know. I think it's an interview essentially for a better position in the team. If you come out
Yeah.
there and you don't give, I don't waste the trip. I say it all the time. You have an opportunity to go out there and perform. You don't do it.
TWTT.
Then why do you? Why are you on this team? We can try. We have to try to win every game, and players that come off the bench need to show the same kind of hunger as the starters, right? A lot of those players let themselves down, and it's gonna hurt. It should hurt them.
Yeah.
Right, because you can't turn it off and on. So you need to be. It needs to be on all the time. They need to be ready to play.
You have an opportunity to get into a quarterfinal by going to West Ham and being solid. If you go a goal down, you keep it tight into the early parts of the second half to where we can make substitutions, and we got caught out 5 minutes into the second half as well. It's got to be here, you got to have the heart to go and win on the field. Yeah, listen, we'll get into the Aaron Ramsdale stuff as well very soon. Anything else, Alonso, on that West Ham game? I think West Ham just showed more heart and urgency than us on the day.
Well, it's not like West Ham don't have good players. I think very highly of Jared Bowen. So there's talent on West Ham's team. They're not no slouch either. So maybe it's Arteta's fault for not taking them lightly. And that's part of, in my opinion, Arteta's issues that he doesn't really value or respect his opponents enough because, if they're putting out a strong squad, or you could assume they're going to put out a stronger squad, then how come we can't counter that, with the strong squad as well? So in a way, it's kind of frustrating because we know we can win these cup games, but he just doesn't want to do so, and because he doesn't value it as much. And that's my opinion now.
Yeah.
So with that said, it is what it is. I expect Arsenal to continue to use. Now that they're out of it, they can use it for something else, and take their energy for rotating players in different ways. I guess that's the only thing I take out of it is that that's one of the cup you have to worry about.
And I know we go ahead, Gary.
I was just saying the thinking that it's just a cup we don't care about. We're not a team that can do that. Every time we go out there, we need to be out there performing. And if those players don't perform in these types of games, they're not going to perform for us in any other game, right? Because they've never done it. So I just don't believe that you don't take days off when you're a football player, especially when you're coming off the bench. So that's why when people say, "Oh, it's a fourth cup, we don't really care." Nah, it has to be. Those players that come off have to perform, and I don't think they did.
As Stephen said, against West Ham, we were just poor. No excuses on the day, and you put Kivior into the side Zinchenko continuing at left back. I know we all have issues about his defending. Jorginho's okay as the 6 in that team lineup, but then you put Vieira and Havertz either side of Jorginho in that midfield. And Nketiah, Nelson, and Trossard. If they had the base behind them, I think Trossard and Nketiah and Nelson could get goals, but you can't score if you don't have the ammunition behind you to do that. So, listen, I'll give Stan an opportunity to talk about West Ham, and then we'll get on to the Aaron Ramsdale, his dad's podcast. I'm hoping Gary and Alonso have seen that and are up to speed. Alonso's not, but he can still talk about the situation.
Right.
Alonso, I think Gary has probably consumed that content, I would say. Gary's a content consumer. Are you?
I know more than enough about it, and I haven't even listened to it. So,
All right.
I have enough I can say about it as well. So,
Stan, any last penance you can give over the West Ham defeat, 3-1?
Good evening, everyone in the chat, lads on the panel. Sorry about my late arrival. Just got in from work.
Tardy.
If you want to know why I'm wearing a hat inside, it's because I'm growing my hair out from the shaved look, and at the moment it looks like Morgan Freeman. And I thought I would spare all of you that.
That's not so bad.
hey, that's like a Grammy Award-winning actor, and you're
Morgan
saying
Freeman.
you're saying you don't want to look like him. What does that mean? You don't want to win awards?
Quite
It's
an
kind of
acting lad, Morgan Freeman.
like a cross between Morgan Freeman and Nelson Mandela. It's in that.
So you don't want to be like well known for like helping out the people? What is wrong with you, Stan?
But getting onto the Carabao Cup, it's a shame that we're out of another competition, and I think that Arsenal are in a place where we're not at a stage yet where we can field a team of 11 made up of, ones that are trying to get into the first team, second stringers, academy players, so forth. We do better when we sprinkle a couple of them in with some of the bigger boys around them. For example, I always think Vieira seems to play a little bit better when he's with the bigger boys than when he is one of the bigger boys, supposed to be one of the bigger boys, playing with, some of the lesser people in the squad. Shame to be out of the competition. But then again, the players, these players that come into the team, if they want minutes, then they have to get results, because then they get on to the next round and they get another appearance and they get more of an opportunity to show everybody why they should be wearing the shirt in the first team. So, it's a little bit 50-50, but yeah, I'm a little bit gutted to be out of it, because I do like to see some of our backup players, getting a good 60, 70, 80, 90 minutes in the match, so we can have an opportunity to have a good look at them.
Yeah, and look, as we transition on to the next topic here, a nice segue would be Aaron Ramsdale, who did play in this game, and he didn't really get the defensive coverage that he needed in this game. You know what I mean? Red John said Aaron's lost that smile to when he was holding onto that ball at this moment in time. And it is difficult. It really is difficult to see him there. We all keep saying, yeah, you need to keep smiling. So that's a direct quote.
Just say to Red John, if it's any consolation, Shawn Michaels lost his smile back in the mid-90s, but he found it. He did come back. So I think he main evented a WrestleMania after he refound his smile. So anything is possible.
So I think that is a direct quote from Aaron Ramsdale's dad, who did appear at a podcast and did express his sentiments as a parent toward a professional footballer.
How old is Aaron Ramsdale? Is he like 12? I forgot.
Listen, I think I'm going to stick up. I'm going to take the opposite side here, then, Stan.
There's
because
nothing. What?
I'm the protagonist.
What?
I'm a protagonist.
No, I guess.
I mean, can I just say as well? I mean, the people that host the podcast. I mean, if somebody like that wants to come on their show, what are they going to do? Are they going to say no? Are they going to have them on? I mean, would we do it? I don't know. Actually, I do because I have booked Eddie and Katie's mum to come on next week, who wants to talk about how she's upset that her son's been
What are opposite, Gary?
Trossard. after scoring a hat trick. So anything
Yeah.
is possible. But I mean, I just want to say as well, like, if his dad went onto that podcast and he didn't have his son's permission, then that is concerning, because this is basically his son's livelihood. And if his son, Aaron Ramsdale, has given him permission to go onto the podcast and speak freely, then he's either a moron or he wants to have it away on his toes out of the club in January and play somewhere else. Because I will like one last thing as well. It wouldn't surprise me if Cole Hine was in goal against Brentford, because we know that Mikel Arteta doesn't like to have his dirty laundry washed out in the street. He prefers to take it to Sketchley's and it's dry cleaned in private.
Did he say anything too controversial for either of you?
He said stuff that needs to be kept in the locker room, that needs to be kept in the coach's office.
Such as he's going to be a cup keeper.
Whatever it is, and like some of the things like he kind of undermined the process that Arsenal was actually implemented in terms of how they were handling their goalkeepers. I mean, he basically is calling out Arteta to some degree, because when you call out Arsenal, you're calling out Arteta. So, you know, it's not a good look. I mean, you've got his dad interviewing. You've got him doing a video months ago talking about being not being able to concentrate in games, and that's when he goes off at the rival fans, and it's like, what? You're trying to win a job. You're trying to keep your job here, and you've got you should be. Your head should be down, trying to work hard to beat out a man who's kind of come in to take your job. I mean, that's
Ian Wright's face when he was telling that story. Ian Wright
was like, he's like, why? What? Don't no. It's not. Arteta doesn't. Whenever it was Arteta didn't like the moles earlier in his career as a coach, right? This is it. We just want to, you want to be that the fly on the wall kind of thing, and that's kind of what we're getting a little insight of that. And as Dan said, it's double-edged sword. Either you allowed it to happen in terms of Ramsdale letting his dad go on there, or you're not too smart, because it's not a good look. And if you want out, guess what? It's not good for your next employer. Where's he gonna go? People are saying he goes to Chelsea. What? So you go to Chelsea, and like wherever he goes now, whenever he's in goal, they're gonna be going after him, right? They're already going after him. If
Ramsdale goes to Chelsea, he'll say Poch will be like, "Can I have your dad's phone number?" He's like, "Why?" He goes, "So I can put it on block."
Can block it.
Block. No, your dad doesn't even get to show. You know how Arteta gave the jersey to Ray's granddad.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
Nah, dude, you can't come to the signing. You know what I mean? This is not that kind of place. Like, it's not a good look for a player like for his next job if he is gone, right?
Yeah.
He needs to play really good whenever he gets on the pitch, right? So we're stop talking about this stuff. And that West Ham game when he played, yes, it might have not been his fault, but at some point, and I say it all the time, your goalkeeper is going to have to make that stop,
make a save,
right?
Yeah.
He's going to have to make that save where you go, everybody in front of him just lay down on the ground, but he still got to the ball. Like, they scored 3 times, and he needed to at least stop one of them, just for like his excellence that we've seen him be able to do sometimes when a perfect, the shots come in. So now it's not a good look. And Arteta, I don't think Arteta liked him going after the crowd anyways, right? He didn't like Guendouzi doing the things he did. I'll be surprised he's okay with Ramsdale going after the crowd. And I think the other part of this is a lot of the fans are like, oh, we want Ramsdale, he's British. And it's like, dude,
Ramsdale.
You cheered on players that weren't British, so it has nothing to do with that. You want the best player, full stop, right?
I think
the best player on the pitch. That's what Arteta is trying to do. I don't like the way he's approached it, but that's what he's trying to do.
Yeah, since I'm not going to skip you, Alonso, I'm going to you next. But since you haven't heard the actual podcast, we can talk in general terms, Alonso. BX Gunner said he said that Arteta hasn't told Aaron nothing in regards to what's happening with Raya. So, but that's not the manager's responsibility is to tell a player that you're second or first. You pick the team, Alonso.
I'd be
And
surprised he didn't say anything. Like
you
nothing.
don't get told that you're first or second choice. You
What?
get told. You get told by the lineups being posted. You don't get actually physically told, or you're going to be my second keeper now. You
I
know
have
what I
no
mean?
doubt you know long before that paper comes out that whether or not you're starting for a team.
I don't think you know until the
I
lineup
think
gets
you know
posted.
because of the way that the practice goes. Because at some point you line
Well,
up as your first
you might
11
have
in
an idea.
practice in the 4 or 5 days before a game. I think you know who's going to start the next. You know, you know. I don't. I'd be surprised that a player goes in before the lineup comes out, goes in going. I know. I don't believe I have a chance to.
Well,
There's no like. I've been doing all this all week, and I still don't know if I'm going to start tomorrow. You know what I mean?
I mean, he's not. You're not told an hour before the game. When we get the lineups, you're not told that. You're probably told the day before internally.
So like I said, they know.
Yeah.
And you know how you practice, and you know how Arteta works, right? So I kind of feel like he knew, based on history when he came into the league, into Arsenal. This is no different. It's the same thing. Player comes in late in the window. You're the starting goalkeeper. Arsenal doesn't do that for no reason. They don't. So it was written on the wall, and he chose to not take it serious.
Alonso, I love Ramsdale, says BX Gunner, and his dad. But one thing you don't do is go public too early.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I wanted Aaron Ramsey to succeed at Arsenal, and why it hadn't worked out, I don't quite understand why it hadn't. But it's almost like you 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 get Raya to do the same thing Ramsdale does, and it doesn't make any sense on why Arteta favors Raya more so than he does Ramsdale. I get the antics part of it. He likes to rub the crowd up and all that, but you know, Aaron has to Ramsdale has to humble himself a little bit and realize that in the position he is in Arsenal, Arteta may have not liked something that he did, maybe in the past or whatever. Um, but as a fan, I want Ramsdale to win a trophy at Arsenal.
Mhm.
I want him to prove Arteta wrong, but I think there's a little bit of favoritism there. I understand saying that there had been some kind of agreement where Raya would have been starting over Ramsdale unless because Raya had gotten to Arsenal if that was indeed the case. So if that is in fact the case, then I think Aaron Ramsdale kind of got the wrong end of the deal with that. You know, I remember the pundits on Sky Sport or whoever else it was on NBC saying that this could have been the worst possible situation that could happen to Arsenal because now they're title contenders, and Ramsdale helped us get to Champions League football. I don't care how bad he did; he helped us get to that point. And to get dropped for a goalkeeper that was in the top 8 at Brentford last year, kind of doesn't make any sense to me. But I feel kind of bad for Ramsdale, knowing that he's in a situation now where he's having to fight for his spot, and I think he got wronged.
This is the professional environment that we work in here, and that they work in. His dad saying the truth, but kind of senseless speaking out can only hurt your son. He said, I think he was quite fair as well in all the things that he said. He was talking about Aaron's got to get back to work and work hard and get back into the team through grafting on the training field. Stan.
But yeah, he he didn't go in on David Raya. He wants he to support him. He said that as a father he likes to hear the crowd singing his name even though when his son's not there, but he understands how it doesn't help. But to answer your question about, well, did he say anything wrong? The problem for me is that what he has actually said is, and he said it numerous times and in different ways, it's not so much in his case what's happened, although they don't understand what's happened. Why is my son no longer the number one? But what he is saying is that that they don't like the way it's been handled. So they're basically criticizing the way that Arteta and Arsenal are conducting their business. They're saying that they've handled it wrong. Now, there's ways to look at it. You said, should a manager tell who's your number one and who's your number two? If you've been the goalkeeper that's been the number one for like 2 seasons, and you've got your team to the promised land, i.e. the Champions League, and then your team goes out and buys another keeper from a number one from another Premiership club.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, I would be concerned. I'd be like, hello, what's going on here? And if no one came and spoke to me about it within a couple of days, then I would be politely knocking the door and asking a question, because I would be concerned, right? And if they didn't have a conversation, some people, he's the manager, he doesn't have to tell anybody anything. He doesn't. But in the situation that I've highlighted, as in this guy's been there for 2 seasons now as the number one, I would just think that it would be a common courtesy to pull someone inside and sit down and have a conversation and tell them, whether you're going to tell them not to worry, you're not being frozen out, or, there's a few things that I'm not happy about in your game that you need to work on, or, yep, it's all over for you, I'm going to be moving you out. It's just a common courtesy. And, I think anybody in whatever job, in whatever walk of life, should be able to afford somebody a common courtesy. Now, I also think that if you've got a problem with a player or a goalkeeper in this instance, and there's something about their game that you're not happy with and you want to bring someone else in, you should at least maybe tell that person what it is so they can go away and maybe look back at videos of what they've been doing and look at that particular aspect of their game and try and improve it. If you're not told anything, it must be quite confusing. And as I say, Arteta doesn't have to tell anybody anything. I get that. Mm-hmm. But I would say that the way that he's talked about having a togetherness and trying to build a family atmosphere, it should be, I would afford the player personally a common courtesy. Now, here's the other thing, right? The writing on the wall for Aaron Ramsdale, I think Aaron Ramsdale should have picked up on it earlier on. Because when Mikel Arteta came out in that interview, and he said there were times in the previous season where he wanted to make a change in game with the goalkeeper, didn't have the courage to do that. Again, if I'd heard my manager say that, my ears would prick up. And I'd be wanting to say to him, what games were they specifically? What was it that I was doing wrong that made you want to have that change? So that I can, if I want to continue my career at Arsenal, so that I can try and put it right. So this is not a new thing. He's been thinking that there's a problem with Ramsdale for a while, and he's entitled to think that. He's the manager. He sees him train. We don't. But if there is that problem, I just think that a common courtesy is the least you can do, so that you can put the wounded animal out of its misery, rather it lying in the barn with a broken legs, crying in the night and doesn't know what's going on. You know what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. And as I said before, he's gone on his podcast many times, which I didn't know, which someone told us, I think Tiger told us in the chat box.
Yeah.
But, if he's been going on as a regular and Aaron Ramsdale's, he can see that there's a lot of heat around him at the moment. Wouldn't you say to your dad, you're going on that podcast? If you do, try and reel it in, don't mention it. Or maybe don't go on there for a while, Dad, until my situation... So if there's been no conversation, I think that's a bit weird, especially as Nick Ramsdale's portrayed an image where they're a big family unit. They all discuss everything. It's not like they're estranged. So if Aaron has given it is okay, as I mentioned before, he's either a moron or he wants to have it away on his toes as quickly as possible and want to go to another club. You know, it's as simple as that. And maybe we're seeing a fragility in Aaron Ramsdale, which we're only now seeing, but has maybe been made aware behind the scenes in some mental fragility capacity. We don't know, right?
Yeah, exactly. So tonight, I think we're going to delve into a little bit of a discussion later, but we're going to stay on this Ramsdale discussion for a second, but this may be part of the conversation. Last season, we had a great season with vibes and feeling good about excelling to second place. We had a really good season, Gary. And we got caught out in the end through injuries, principally, right? And lack of depth. And I think that must have stung Mikel Arteta. Like I said, over the summer, the biggest work that Mikel Arteta needed to do was go and look at himself and some of the things that he did. So we have a difference between last season. We had scintillating goal scoring. We were scoring 3 goals, killing teams off in the first 30 minutes. We changed a few players out in the summer, and now we come back. I don't know if you agree with the way I'm framing it, we're a more solid, sustainable model, but we're not going to blow teams away right out of the gate. So there's a difference between that and maybe Ramsdale and Raya maybe signified those two things as well. Gary.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you go at the end of the season and why and how the season ended the way it did, I don't necessarily think we fixed that too much. We had depth in the midfield, depth on the back line that we were lacking. Guess what? We don't have, I don't think we have that answer that if Saliba goes out again, we have the answer right behind him just yet. Kiwior might be still a ways away from that. So I think we still have that as an issue. We talked about how long will it be until Saka finally wears down and then goes out with an injury. We've been basically sitting there going, the clock is running out on this one, and bang, we're right there in it. Midfield is light. You let Xhaka go, leader, have him his best season with your team. Your next objective is to improve on that. Didn't do that. Spent a lot of money to not actually do that. Bring in Rice, who's just basically going to go anywhere in the midfield he needs to go to make sure things are going to work, which is good. But once again, we killed Partey in the first 3 games of the season. Basically,
he finally ran out of steam.
We basically said, you know what? We don't want you getting killed at the end of the season. We're just going to kill you off immediately in the first 3 games of the season.
Playing right back. Yeah, we had that discussion.
Mitchell wanted him at right back, and now he's right back on the treatment table.
Yeah, it's like did he learn anything? It doesn't seem like it now when you look at it. Because for me, if you're like trying to maintain the health of a Partey, well, you don't play him out of position. You know what I mean? You just don't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let somebody else play right back. And I bring it up all the damn time. Saka can play back there if he needs to. If you really have to put somebody there, put Saka, right? You have answers across the front at that point. You could have used either Trossard or Reece Nelson. You just put a lot of faith in Reece Nelson. If you're going to have injuries, you're going to have to depend on these players. If you can't depend on them, then what's the point of having them around? You know what I mean? So I think we could right now we are much better team in terms of you can look at our record and the way we play. We're not going out blowing teams away, but we're not. And teams aren't able to run away from us either. So you kind of offense and defense is kind of like instead of being up here,
together. Yeah.
Both instead of being something like this, they're kind of closer now.
Yeah.
So he's built the defense to where it works fine with what we got. We've had to replace the back line pretty much every game, but it's going to be tough.
Gary, do you think Ramsdale suffered from concentration issues last season, or he's admitted that he's had concentration.
I don't know where that comes for me. That comes from a place of insecurity a little bit more than because I think as a goalkeeper, we've said it multiple times. I don't even think the goalkeeper had made a save today, right? You got to try and stay engaged, but like you're like, come on, defense, let a ball through. No, you're never saying that, right? But you got to keep yourself engaged and alert to what might happen, right? So I think the wording is bad. I think he just if he said I just need to keep myself engaged during games because my defense is so good that I barely see shots sometimes, right? I'll go like 20, 30 minutes and the ball will never even get into our into the defensive third sometimes unless it's us putting it there to reset and play out the back, But really and truly, So if he said it like that, probably people would never say anything. And he's like, I have to keep myself engaged. So sometimes I will, the crowd was already screaming at me and I'll just respond,
Yeah.
But the way he said it, it sounded to me a little bit like insecure as to, more insecure about himself than just a way to get through a game. It didn't sound good. And the fact that it comes out now is just like the timing is wrong. Like it comes out around the same time as his dad's interview. Like,
have you seen the whole interview?
If you want,
have you seen it? The one with Ian Wright. Have you seen the? Because I haven't. I'd like to know.
I haven't seen the whole thing. I just saw when he made that comment, and then
I'd like to see what was said just before it and what was said just after that snippet to get the context. You know what I mean? But it was pretty damning.
Yeah, it didn't sound right. You don't want your goalkeeper saying that. You know what I mean? Like this. It's like sometimes you don't need to know what's going on in people's head all the time. That's something maybe you talk to Arteta about, but you don't go on the camera and say stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like coach, I'm finding it hard to concentrate during games just because the defense is so good that we get one shot on target. You think about it, how many games have we played where the XG was 0.3? It happens a lot. We've done this a lot to a lot of teams. If your goalkeeper is not getting bored out there, I mean, I think we said one time he went out, got a beer and a sausage, and came back, and he still, they still hadn't even crossed the midline, kind of thing, So, yeah, and if he wants out, it's not doing himself a good job, of it, because once again, Arteta and Arsenal cannot take a hit on this. They have to. They have to make the money back that they got, but he's worth more than he was when we got him. So should be easily 35, 45 mil for a starting goalkeeper. Once again, this is going to be the third time we're going to sell a starting goalkeeper in the Premier League.
Where's Tony right now?
We cannot take a hit like we've done the last two times.
Where's Tony right now? He loves this stuff. When Gary and I talk about goalkeepers.
This is right up Tony Strasser.
Oh yes, you know what? It all started with Emmy. We should have never let Emmy go.
Stan mentioned earlier they never got told that Raya was coming in, but they benefited when Leno never got told that Ramsdale was coming in.
Yeah, you know what? Should a team
Leno's dad didn't go on a podcast.
You know what? I think the team tells you when they're going to make a move. You don't heed the warning. That's what I think happens. I think the team tells you, and your play showcases certain things, and you're not doing what you need to do in terms of what Arteta wants. I believe, because yes, he has he's let the team down himself. The Southampton game stands out, right? The way we started that one. Is it? Yeah, or was it
both Southampton games?
He's
being accused of looking at a pigeon in the away Southampton game for that equalizer.
Yeah, so like there's, I don't know if that one's true, but he's
it's a little bit disingenuous.
Yeah, there's things that he's done, and you're like, because think about that. Wasn't that was during this when we drew 3 games in a row, right?
No, the Southampton away was earlier in the season.
No, when we had to come back to get the draw, right? Oh, that was the 3-3.
Yeah,
but when we started a game like that. That's got to be like, oh damn it, that was not a good look. It's not a good look.
When we were going behind very, very quickly.
Yeah.
After a minute.
About.
Yeah. How many times did we get scored on in the first minute? Remember, within 1 minute, we had been scored on at least 3 times in I think 10 games or something like that.
Yep.
And that's the team as a whole not being engaged and ready to play. sometimes you want your goalkeeper to make one of those stops at least to save the day. But he's creating the craziness as well. So
Creating the craziness.
no, but I mean,
Alonso.
I think he's got. I think he knew. I think he knew, even though he doesn't want to believe it. He should have had some inkling that guess what, they might want to change me.
Yeah. Alonso.
Nepotism.
Lolo says here, Ramsdale helped to rebuild the atmosphere at the Emirates. Hurts that he's being nudged out now, Alonso. He hasn't got a Champions League game yet. People will say he helped us get to the Champions League. Should be rewarded with a game or two. May well be at the end of the group stages here. He might get a game. But a lot of the fans are behind Ramsdale because he helped with the atmosphere, Alonso.
Well, I wouldn't say that necessarily, but he has kind of like a cult status. The Emirates seems like, but I think, like I said before, I kind of feel bad for him. Going from a team like Sheffield United to Arsenal was a big move for him, and a career-altering move. And of course, Arteta valued him because he wouldn't have had the money to get him in the first place. So this is why this move for Raya is questionable to me. It's just a bit confusing question mark over why Arteta would make this move this late in the transfer window all of a sudden. I get that, Matt Turner had moved on himself, but at what point, does Arteta realize he made a mistake? And what did he really see in Raya to make that move justifiable? So one day Arteta will come out and say why, but he still really hasn't.
Write a book.
Hasn't made an answer on why he did that. So what are you trying to accomplish there? So I don't know. It's just confusing to me. I know the fans love him, so I hope that Ramsdale overcomes this, and I want him to succeed, like I said before. So yeah.
Yeah, look, and as Red John says here, Arteta can't win now. If he plays Ramsdale, people will accuse him of being spineless and giving into the media pressure created by Ramsdale's dad.
That's his own wrongdoing. I mean, that's his own wrongdoing. He's done it to many players before as well. So, it is what it is at this point.
I don't think he's trying to make some quick money. I don't see how he can generate money out of going on a podcast other than Blue M&Ms.
I was reading, like, Ramsdale's father people asked him not to talk about his son's demotion. So he's been actually, like, people have said, don't talk about it. He said, I can't do that. So there you go. So
I mean, we're all acting like, none of us in our younger days have gone down a club on a Saturday, pulled some bird, gone down a club the following week and seen a better model. And you're like, oh, I'm going straight, you know what I mean? But on a serious note, though, we've also got to remember that there's only one more England camp before the Euros. And Ramsdale was just getting himself in the picture, wasn't he? And he's not been called up at the moment. And maybe Ramsdale's in the back of his mind is thinking, like, I need to maybe to him engineering a move away to somewhere where he can play weekly and try and get back into the England team could also be a motivator as well. He maybe comes across as someone that would be really wants to have that England spot, and he was just nudging in there. So
he was trying to dislodge Beckford. Yeah,
and I think he was coming close to it as well. And it's and again, it's probably another thing where he's probably sitting there and thinking, like, my manager doesn't seem to rate me anymore, yet the national manager does.
Yeah,
the national manager is Southgate, so you basically lose all credibility when you say you expect him to probably do the right thing, which might be to play the better goalkeeper at the time, because Pickford was struggling for a while, and Ramsdale still couldn't get in.
Pickford on the edge of relegation. Ramsdale second, third.
So for me, I think you have to put Southgate into that situation as well, because
I think that what you're missing is, Gary, though, like, I think the England setup's really changed, whether what we think of Gareth Southgate or not. I think there's an atmosphere now around England where it didn't seem so long ago where players didn't even want to play for England. Do you know what I mean? You know, crying off of having to go away on international duty. But now I think it's got back to a stage where, for whatever reason, players want to play for Gareth Southgate. They want to play for him,
or they want to play for England.
Yeah.
You know,
Maybe
they've
they want
seen
to play
England
for
get
England and not
seen England get
Southgate,
to
because
finals and the tournaments and stuff like that. They
I
want to be a
know,
part
but
of it.
I don't think it's just. I don't think Southgate's the draw.
He's the one who picks the team.
I think that shirt with the 3 lines on it,
Hmm.
that's one of the reasons as well.
I mean,
I don't think,
like at Arsenal, Mikel Arteta picks the team, and in England, Southgate picks the team. So you can pander up to the manager in hopes to be representing your country. You know, Stephen said he knew Ramsdale was done right after the City match, and in that press conference where Arteta said he had big cojones for sticking with the plan. You know, so yeah, those were the signs. You know, and we as fans.
It also kind of feels to me that Mikel Arteta had his eye on David Raya for a while and really wanted him to be a keeper and has made inquiries.
And
it didn't happen. So he's gone with another keeper. But then, soon as the one that he likes can become available, he's, you know,
I mean,
he's gone straight back there. So it seems like for me a little bit like nepotism.
Wouldn't it be a little bit like
for 5 years and you're doing really well, and then all of a sudden the boss's son comes out of college, comes into the company, and now he's getting all the big tickets.
So somebody mentioned they're not. Arteta's not doing the same thing when it comes to Eddie and Kedia, or Jesus when he's in the team. But if we were to go after Victor Osimhen,
no, he has, because Jesus is not available, and he's playing Trossard now. Hasn't he?
You know what?
Eddie
didn't
play in the last couple of games.
This is the same thing we saw last season.
Maybe off the bench.
He switches around though, like Gary's saying. Yeah.
Think about it. Last season we saw the exact same thing. Jesus is out, and Kedia gets these games. The Manchester United game plays really well, right? But we all know it doesn't last long, and it doesn't last long. And eventually, like Trossard comes in. Trossard makes a difference. Trossard has player of the month for Arsenal. Right? And in April,
but he said it's fault.
Jesus comes back and he's gone.
And in his next game, he doesn't follow it up. So you're like, sorry, mate, you had your chance. I gave you a chance. I didn't drop you after the hat trick. I let you start, and you didn't give me anything.
No, but for me, I don't. That's why I am always on in Kedia. It's sometimes for the little things, like he doesn't press for me enough, and I can only. I evaluate him on his goal scoring because that's the only thing I know I might be able to get out of him. You know,
it's his currency. Yeah.
And so for me, this is the exact same thing happened last season. Trossard comes in and we know he's a baller. We know he's good, right? We know he's good. He didn't have a good season. He had a good preseason, couldn't get it going in much of the early part of the season. Click. You know when it clicks. You're like, yes.
What we're looking at, though, Gary,
we're happy with them.
We're looking at forwards who are patchy. We have patchy forwards. Eddie and Kedia, Trossard, even though I love Trossard, he can be a patchy goal scorer. And Jesus, too. You know, Martinelli and Saka will be the ones who are consistent enough.
They lack consistency, both of those names. As much as I appreciate them both, the lack of consistency seems to be a problem with those two.
And that's maybe why Arteta, and I happen to think, I agree with you, Trossard is probably the best player to play in that 9 position, false 9, whatever it is.
We've seen Nketiah put a header in. Did it look like, was it as daring as what Trossard did? Right? Talking about the smaller of the 3, I think the smaller of the 3 forwards center forwards that we have, right?
I think Eddie would do that as well. He put his body on the line.
Like I said, we don't see it like that's all he gives. That's all he's supposed to give us, and I don't think he does it enough. So either he's not in the box to receive that corner, right? Because I don't know where he is. He's trailing the play, right? Or he doesn't make the run. So like I said, it's no different than last season. Same thing happened. We'll see if Trossard kicks on. The international break pretty much came at the bad time. Trossard scored 2
He had
games in a
so
row,
many of them.
and
Yeah.
now he's gone for 2 weeks. We'll see how all the players come back, right?
Yeah. The cards may be shuffled again, Gary. Lolo said coming into this season, I thought Arteta was near untouchable, but Kai and Raya open him up to Arteta outers.
Yeah.
But Raya is not beyond his own mistakes. If you think about that Newcastle game and you think about the Chelsea game, he's been kind of out of position in both of those instances for those goals.
The only thing I don't like about the situation is that, Mikel Arteta basically told us about not having the courage to change goalkeepers last season when he felt he needed to in game. And then when Raya came in, he talked about, rotation and so forth. But what about the times? Must have been times during in game where Raya must have been giving him the willies, but he didn't go to the bench with
It was Turner.
with his 5 substitutions that he can make and bring in Ramsdale. I'm talking about this season, right?
Well, this season.
Some games where Raya has looked maybe shaky, he hasn't gone to the bench. He's kept him in and then put him in the next game. Do you know what I mean? So he doesn't seem to be doing what he said that he was going to do. And as Nick Ramsdale said, he basically said that his son was going to be now the cup keeper. I don't know if he knows that for sure or whether he was surmising, but he seemed to sort of be saying,
I believe that's I believe that's what he believed.
Stan, Arteta lies. You know this.
All managers lie, Gary.
He lies. So when he was saying he wanted to switch goalkeepers, he was lying. There's no way that's anybody's plan because exactly. If you have been in the game long enough, you know what that means. There's the saying: if you have 2 of one of one, you have none. Basically, right? They say it over here in the States. If you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none because you don't have a number. You always have to have a number 1 goalkeeper, right? You look at all the best teams in the world; they have a really good number 1. The guy behind them can't touch him, right? There's a drop off in form. Defense has to play much better in front of them to see out games and whatnot. So you can't create that situation. And now you're playing with the goalkeeper's head. Both of the goalkeepers could not perform in a situation like that. You basically created a hostile office space. You know what I mean? They both are under pressure to perform, and they can't because guess what? They know another guy's sitting there who might take his job, and it creates a bad situation. Right?
Is Arteta too honest in these situations? Talks about I wanted to substitute goalkeepers last season. Talks about the PGMOL, and now he's got slapped with we'll talk about that a little bit later. But is Arteta too honest?
I think that's
in
just
some
the dumbest thing to
instances.
say. Because nobody's switching a goalkeeper.
He thought about it.
When's the last time you've seen a goalkeeper get switched and then it wasn't for an injury?
Hockey.
In football. You know what I mean? In hockey, when you've given up 7 goals, yes, his head's gone. You pull him, right?
Yeah.
In football, they don't pull him. You create. You may have created this, or the people in your or the players in front of you may have, but you're gonna see this one through. You know.
Did Arteta create this, or did the media create this?
The Raya thing?
Yeah, the whole keeper controversy.
Arteta created this. He didn't need to create. As I said, going into this season, and by the time the window closed, Arteta is still working on himself. He still needs to. He's 4 years. He's not. He just what? He'll turn 4 years as a professional manager in football.
Next month.
4 years. Nobody. Most of the coaches that he's competing against have between 8 and 15 years of experience as the head man. He's still way behind on trying. He's doing things that none of these managers have done. Not taking on a big team in a big city, in a big league, and competing and seeing things out. Yes, he's taken. This is when somebody, as I said, when this all happened, Arsenal I don't want to wait, but Arsenal does. They want us to wait and see this thing through. It's gonna be a little bit of pain. That's what we're seeing. He's still learning.
We're at the top end. We're at the top end of the table.
He's still
here.
learning. No, because he's still learning. This is like he's not gone through a season like this. He has to compete on 4 fronts. He failed already because now we're out after what 2 games in the Carabao Cup, right? He's gonna have to get deeper in. He's gonna have to get deeper in the Champions League than because there's things I wanted him to do based on
you
where
had
he needed to progress, right?
Yeah.
So he needs to finish in the top 3. He needed to get into a semi or a final in one of the domestic cups, and he wanted to win his group. He barely Carabao Cup was like set up for an easy get into the semis finals, as it ever would, right? As it ever would. And you have to be able. The reason why I think you need to be able to compete in all 4 fronts is because you need to have a team that's fully engaged. We saw what happened last season when it got down to it. We only had Premier League to play. Guess what? When he had to lean on players, guess what? They come in fresh off the street, not having played for a while, and they look like it. Whereas if you are if you're still competing on 3 or 4 fronts late, in the second half of the season, your entire team is engaged and they're getting minutes.
Yeah, but those players have to get wins as well. In that West Ham game.
Well, that's the only way you progress, though. That's the only way you. That's the only way you can progress is if. Yeah, but they have to come in and play. That West Ham game, they did not look like a team who wanted to go out there and play football.
Yeah. Arsenal Misfit Stephen said we will get crap for Ramsdale because everyone knows what's happening. They know we need to recoup the money on the Raya fee. And whatever we spend on a backup, I reckon north of 40 billion.
Once again, we devalue a player
valuation
that we need to sell, right? We devalue a player that we need to sell. Like if we played Ramsdale and Raya to some degree, switching back and forth, just because guess what? Arteta felt like it. Not because I'm trying to do this or that. No, I felt like Raya deserved the game. I just felt like Ramsdale deserved the game, as opposed to it looks like he's just shutting out Ramsdale. Right, the perception that's what he's doing.
That is the perception. Because I thought Ramsdale could get a Premier League game,
but Ramsdale is a starting goalkeeper in the Premier League, no matter how many games he doesn't play this season. So he's worth a certain amount. Doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter, and Arteta and Arsenal should be aware of that, as opposed to we're just going to take a loss just because we want to get him out off our books, right? Because as far as I'm concerned, Chelsea did not want Mount or Kai Havertz and somehow got top money for them, right?
Don't go there. We're getting
and they were poor players
in
the season that they were being sold from. Ramsdale has got his team in the Champions League. They just decided to go in a different direction. So he's still a good goalkeeper. But it's a bad.
I don't think his valuation has decreased yet, Gary. And there will be cup games coming up for him as well if he's going to play in the cup. Stan?
Not at all. I think he's only recently had a new contract which retains his value. He was sniffing in and around the England team. He's been the number 1 goalkeeper that got us to this, second in the Premier League and leading it for ages. I think that if other teams, whether here or abroad, get a feeling that Ramsdale is up for sale, that he won't be short of suitors. It's not going to be like us trying to get rid of Cedric, where we're like trying to literally push him into clubs. I think there'll be a line of people that would want to sign Aaron Ramsdale. So I don't think that we'll have any trouble getting our money back.
Yep.
I hope so, but we know Arsenal is not that good at selling, and that's the problem.
That is a fact.
I hear everything you're saying. It makes sense. A team that can sell their players, a team that keeps the value of their players and doesn't create drama around it, which drops the value of the player. Yes.
You're both making.
I'd give it to the guy that done the Iwobi deal. I say, this one's yours. Take care.
Yeah, well, who's that? That guy. That guy's probably on an island somewhere.
He comes back with 100 million. You're like, what?
Well, we are. Cedric is the new Lichtsteiner. The war is over. Cedric, come on home. But we have come a long way.
Team, and he put a shirt on in the Champions League, right?
We'll be telling our grandchildren about that Iwobi deal. Trust me. We will. It'd be like the story
Well,
of
I hope
legend.
not.
That's
'Cause
still
we need to have a new like
that's
let's
our.
get
We
a
need a
really
new record.
big sale. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
We
Sat
need a
around a
new record.
campfire
So,
like that. Let me tell you the story of
um,
the Awobi sale.
we are now in a position where if we do sell Ramsdale, we'll make a tidy profit on it, even if we don't sell very well. We still will do that. Cedric is one of the last of the
Get
old
some of that-
warriors.
some of that Edison
As
money.
well, he can.
You should be going for Edison money.
Steven said, "What does Arteta do if Raya's poor form continues against teams that can actually put pressure on us?" He hasn't been great in a couple of games, to be honest. High profile. We're going to talk about Newcastle as well. That goal never happens if Raya can intercept that cross. Mudryk lobbed the ball over him as well. In the 4 games that happened, Raya cost us 4 Premier League points and 3 Champions League points. I mean, he contributed to it. We lost at Newcastle. He's part of the deal at Newcastle. And if we didn't concede against Mudryk, we probably could have won that game. That's fair, right? We lost the Lons because we weren't good enough. Like at West Ham, they scored 2 really good goals against us. I don't blame Raya for
I
losing
like
the
to come back
Lons.
to always the fact that I believe we can score 3 goals in anyone. And in those games, it didn't look like we were going to score 3 goals. In a lot of those games where we need to be perfect defensively, and of course, Raya isn't perfect, and Ramsdale isn't perfect either. So yeah. So I kind of felt like, you know what, you can blame the goalkeeper for certain things, but I think also our attack is lacking where it needs to be, and part of that is on Arteta by not putting in a decent sized midfield, decent attacking midfield.
Mm-hmm. So Gary, and I'll go to Alonso, and Stan may be back by then. But any final thoughts on Ramsdale? We'll move on from that topic. And
Arteta created this mess,
where's it
and
going
now
to
we
go?
have to deal with it. So Ramsdale, just when he gets in, just plays, like his head's on fire. You know what I mean? Just play like your life depends on it. Essentially, every ball that comes into your box is yours. You know what I mean? So if he has to go after the crowd to get him up, whatever, do whatever you need to do. Go out there and play some good prop ball. Even if he's still gone, that's the way he needs to go out.
We gave BX Gunner said we gave up on the League Cup, probably by the lineup and the players out there, and it was the easiest chance of silverware this season. However, West Ham, for their win over us, will go to Anfield, and that would have been a tough fixture for any team really to go on Anfield. We're gonna have to play. We go to Anfield on the 23rd of December.
Do we know that? Was that the next game, regardless? Like regardless of
Well,
how or is
yeah,
that just the
the
role
draw.
of
The draw was
roll of?
made. The draw was
So
made, and
the
they
draw could have
drew
gone differently if our name was in the hat, right?
because our ball would have been heavier.
I don't. I'm just saying. It's not. It's not like Liverpool was the next round home match, right? It's like Arsenal's in. Maybe when
We
the
were
ball
the
drop
ball.
in there a
We
little
could
bit
have been that ball, Gary.
we
West
could
Ham
have been
ball.
at home with Liverpool coming
I
in to
know.
see play us, right? So
Just because the name inside the ball doesn't make a difference. Well, it
nothing
does.
makes a difference. They could have run that 100 times. It doesn't mean it's always going to be Liverpool.
Okay. But we did give up a good opportunity here to win a trophy that was seasonable, and I think Carabao Cup represents a cup for probably your stronger squad or teams that if you actually go after it. Ramsdale, do you believe, Gary, do you believe Ramsdale's on the way out? Is it going to be January or summer?
You can't keep 2 goalkeepers. So Arteta do
Two
something.
first choice goalkeepers.
Can't keep
Yeah.
2. Not this team can't we can't afford 2. You know what I mean? Even if they are worth as little as they are, we can't afford. We have bigger problems elsewhere on the pitch. That's not the one to fix. We haven't fixed it by bringing in Raya. What we've done is put more pressure on 2 goalkeepers now.
Alonso, is Ramsdale on the way out?
15 mil. That's ridiculous.
Double that at least. Double that at least. Is he on the way out?
For him? We get less. Come on.
Right? It's
Sorry,
not going to
sorry.
be 15. You know that, right, Gary? It can't be 15.
The way things
And
have
this
gone,
is
that's
this tells you what Stephen thinks about our selling, and I don't disagree with that sentiment. But 40 million's got to be the starting price for Ramsdale next
What
summer.
about that English premium, Matt, baby?
yeah. Every time it's an English player, oh, it's an English premium. Arsenal, no.
They're like, nah, you're not English
So-
enough, mate.
The number would have
Tom
been
says, yes, Tom, you are right. The Arsenal ball is bigger than all the other balls.
I never said anything about that. I just said the odds don't say that just because if it was a different team, it's different. Everything's different about this scenario. So maybe
The
the
number
odds
would
go in
have
our
been.
favor.
Alonso, is Ramsdale leaving the club?
I hope not. I hope he stays. It takes Raya. I don't see anything spectacular about David Raya, to be honest. So I hope Ramsdale overcomes this and just learns from this and doesn't accept being a you know, second string goalkeeper. I think he's better than Raya in some respects. So like I said, I don't want Ramsdale to go, knowing probably clubs will probably underpay for him. Knowing Arsenal, they don't, like Gary had said, they don't value our players enough to where we can get the max amount back at least. So yeah, I hope he stays.
Now, Stan is wearing a cap that makes me think he's a sleuth. So
Can you ask me the
connected-
same question that you asked Alonso, please?
Yeah, I'm setting you up though first. Stan, you're wearing a cap that makes you look like a sleuth. You
Oh,
just
yeah.
need the glasses and the pipe, right?
Magnifying
Can
glass.
you connect the dots? The writing's been on the wall for Ramsdale to leave eventually, right?
So you're asking me if I think if Ramsdale's going to be leaving the club?
Yeah, if you
Which
that's
is
the
how you
short
ask-
way.
which
That's
is
the
how
short
you
way of
phrase it.
saying it.
Yeah, he asked you to be specific, and you decide, no, I'm going to say the exact same words at all.
My answer would be, I think he's already checked out, mate. You know what I mean? His room's empty.
Checked out of the hotel.
He's checked out.
Already.
He's gone.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Checked out of a
His
hotel,
mail's
etc.
getting forwarded elsewhere.
Like Gary said, the Euros is coming.
If you was in the mindset, right, of okay, I can see what's going on here, but I fucking love it here, and I really enjoyed it when I was the number one, and I really want to, be a part of this team when we get onto bigger and better things, because I love the way that I'm being coached here, and I think the manager's a genius. Then what would you do? Would you let your dad go into a podcast and tear all of that down, or would you make sure your dad didn't go on the podcast, keep your gob shut and work your socks off as much as you can and continue to ask the goalkeeping coaches where you need to improve? Are they seeing any improvement in any aspects? Taking videos home, and do you know what I mean? What is it that you want? Because at the moment, if that's what he wants, he's not going the right way about it. So to me, it seems that he's given up the fight, and maybe he's given up the fight because behind the scenes he can see there's nepotism going on. Because Raya's got the relationship with Inaki Kanya, the goalkeeping coach, and every time they're in training, and Raya saves a ball, he gets a pat on the head, and every time Ramsdale saves a ball and looks up, like the goalkeeping coach is like on his phone, not even looking. Maybe if it's a situation like that and you're thinking to yourself, well, I can't win.
You're on hiding to nothing.
But yeah, if you're like in a situation like that, you think, well, it doesn't matter what I do, I can't win. Then
Sticky wicket.
Why wouldn't you be thinking of, well, maybe I should be going elsewhere? So
the problem is
it depends on which one of those
strategy.
it is.
It's just not a good exit strategy, though. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. If you really want to go, there's ways to do it, right? This is not a good way.
Well, January's not far away, so maybe you're ensuring that it's going to be in that window and it's not going to drag on, and you do enough to make sure that the club helps you. Helps you.
That discussion should already
leaving
happen with
that window.
Arteta and Edu saying basically, I need to go because I can't work in it. It's one of the two of us, right? Because Emmy had this, had that same kind of discussion. He didn't want to go through the competition. And what were we told? We were told that essentially they had to make that sale, no matter what, to get Emmy out the door, right? Because he said, "I don't want to compete." Well, guess what? Ramsdale one didn't even get that choice, right? So now he just like, no, I don't want to compete. That's basically what he had. That's basically what he's saying. I don't want to compete in this situation, so let me go.
See, I don't care really. I'm one of those. I don't care who gets sold as a player. I may miss some, but I try. I mean, when I was a bit younger, there were players I had a lot of affections to: Dennis Bergkamp, Graham Rix, Paul Merson, Liam Brady. There's a few, Anders Limpar. As I've got older, I try to look at them as units of production,
commodities.
Yeah. And if it means that this part is going to go, I don't mind, as long as the one that comes in is an upgrade. You know, like when you play a video game and you upgrade the armor and you upgrade your fire, you know, the guns and shit. Fine, if it's an upgrade. But at the moment, when I look at David Raya in the snapshot that I've seen, I don't look at him yet. I don't look at it and go, well, that's an upgrade.
Yeah.
I'm still a little bit.
It's difficult to
see. Some good things.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's shit. I've seen some good things, but I'm not going, oh, fuck it. I can see what the plan is. I get it. Yeah, I can't see Ramsdale getting in ahead of this guy. I'm not in that place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always say when people say you are Arteta in or out, I always say I'm Arsenal in. Bringing in Raya.
Yeah, but that's not the question. You didn't answer the question.
You didn't ask the question because you don't like asking.
Are you Arteta out or Arteta in, Gary?
I'm Arsenal in, and I say it all the time because I don't care if we keep Arteta or not. If it's not good for our Arsenal, it's not good for me, right?
And
Raya and
quiet
Ramsdale is not good for Arsenal. Havertz is not good for Arsenal, right? Keeping Emile Smith-Rowe and Reece Nelson and not playing them is not good for Arsenal. You know.
Yeah,
I believe, I as much as I do like El Neni keeping it on, I think long term it's not good for Arsenal because it's a player that we need to have more.
Great timing. Just popped up. Both of you were thinking El Neni.
No, but I like El Neni, but he can't play. He can't play the amount of games that we need him to play for us because he's like, we say it all the time. He's the most consistent player, but he cannot give us those enough games for it to be worthwhile for us to keep him. You know, for me, anyways. You know, he comes in timely. He does a good job, but I just don't think it helps the team. You know, so I don't know. So
Stephen Morrow,
I think
scored the winning goal in the League Cup final in '93.
I think back to Gary what you were saying about Onini was that I think he has a higher purpose at the club than just being a third.
It's a spot on the team is what I'm saying though.
Right.
Spot on the team, so it's a spot that could be going to somebody else that might be could do with those minutes. Could be a player that maybe gives us even more minutes and better performances, you know. So
Stan,
right. Just
give Gary. No, 1 second. Hold on. Give Gary and Alonso 3 scenarios of what happened after Stephen Morrow scored the goal, A, B, or C, and let's see if they get the right answer.
So defender Stephen Morrow, who wasn't even a regular, comes into the team and scores a goal. What happened next? A, the goal was almost ruled offside, but after an online officiating, it was allowed to everyone's relief. B, he was hoisted up into the air in celebration by the captain of the team, dropped, dislocated his shoulder, and was unable to play in the replay. Or C, his mum went onto a podcast to tell everyone how happy she was that her son had scored a goal and that she's disappointed that he's being dropped from the first team.
I go with B.
Yeah, I like B as well. So
and you would be correct. Tony Adams lifted him up in celebration, lifted him up in the air. He fell out of his arms, landed on his shoulder, and was stretchered off the pitch.
They brought him at a medal in the hospital. They visited him in the hospital later. So
he got Rodney.
That is the tale of Stephen Morrow. You know.
That
who
sucks.
is probably
Well, you know what?
last-
He got touched by a world
a
class
legend.
player, right?
Yeah,
So there you go.
absolutely a legend. He missed the FA Cup final. He missed the FA Cup final because of the broken arm. Bonus points for we played the same team in 2 finals, Gary. What was the team? We played in the
United.
League Cup final and the FA Cup final. Alonso, what was the team?
United.
Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday, or Norwich?
Sheffield United.
Sheffield Wednesday it was. Sheffield Wednesday.
I-
Anyway,
I-
there you go. That's a little bit of trivia for tonight. Makes me want to bring back Kahoot.
Chris Waddle used to play for them, didn't he?
Chris Waddle, John Harks, one of the first Americans. See
And
the podcast. Tiger went with the podcast, Dan.
See.
His mom got on the podcast and complained about the treatment of her son.
By the club captain.
Gary, do you know what else happened when I went on my vacation?
You met Cinderella, Mickey Mouse. You went to Disneyland, right?
Oh no, I heard the leaked VAR audio of the PGMOL, and I thought it was the real thing, Gary.
Oh, you heard that one.
Oh, that one.
Did it sound much different to the real one, Gary?
No,
Bail me out. Come on.
yeah, it probably didn't. It didn't. Yeah, it didn't seem like it's. Yeah. No, I mean they. No, because I did hear that one, and I was like, something about this doesn't seem right.
Oh, come on.
And then at the end, you're like, yes, it's not right.
When I heard the one yesterday, I was like, trying to fool me again.
Yeah.
No way this shit's real.
Sounds similarly the same. How bad is it, Gary? How bad is it?
The new one?
All of it. Take any part of it. How bad is it? You know? The real one. They check for the line, and people are tired of this, right?
Well, I get the
weeks.
first one. They couldn't find the
I've been away for 2 weeks.
They couldn't confirm it. I would like to know how they confirmed it when it was in that Manchester United match where they were able to confirm that it hadn't.
Yeah.
And so you look at it, you're like, they look similar to me.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing. The offsides thing, I think. Sometimes you hear people say, "Well, has nothing to do with the ball. If you see where the goalkeeper is, and you can't see the ball, then you assume that the ball is behind him. So you assume, And if you tell me you can't get another angle to see where the ball is, but you can't see the ball, and you know the ball is behind one of the said player, you should be able to put 2 and 2 together. So the offsides, the whole Joe Linton 2 hands on the back. It looks a little suspect, and that's why. No. The rule never said it doesn't matter if you push him with all of your might or if you graze him a little bit. It doesn't say that anywhere on there. I bet you the rule says if you put 2 hands on a player and you one either gain an advantage or you look like you're moving a player out of the way, it's a foul, right?
And the voice says on the VAR, he goes, "Yeah, I can see 2 hands on Gabriel's back, but it doesn't look like enough to make him go down like that." And I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, Joe Linton's feet ain't even on the ground. How much pressure he needed to apply?
Not only that,
He's
but
literally jumped up to push him.
Yeah. But the one camera angle behind the goal where he's on his neck, they show that after they've already confirmed that. Guess what? It wasn't a foul, and you're like, what?
Gabriel's going to clear the header, and while he's going to do that, he's been pushed. Do you know what I mean?
2 hands on the neck, and they're like, no, 2 hands on the back. Well, that's because you didn't look at the right. It looked like it was his back, his neck.
And they wanted to call this a foul. 2 hands on the back, and you get 10 of them every game in every box.
And apparently you can just run around and forearm people in the back of the head now. Apparently that's cool. Getting like the WWE.
New sport.
Next you'll be able
Next
you'll be able to tombstone a member of the opposition, and it will be like, no, that's cool. They know how to fall, like in the wrestling. They know how to protect.
Now,
It's ridiculous.
it would be remiss of me not to call out Kai Havertz and his challenge as well, just for balance, right? But I feel like the crowd, you're playing in a very difficult stadium. The crowd are shouting for everything. They want their team. That's how difficult it is to win away from home in the Premier League. Yeah, it is. But the biggest thing for me on Joe Linton is he's got his arms close together and the ball trickles between his arms like one of those. What's the things where you put the round discs in and they go?
Oh yeah,
you know,
in the
Blinko, it's Blinko and like Let's Make a Deal,
Blinko.
right?
He's got his two arms together like Blinko, and the ball has to touch his arm.
You know, hey, you drop the tokens in Blinko and he goes. That's what it looked like. It's like bang, bang, and you're like,
yeah,
no, it didn't touch his arm. Like,
and then he
like
does that bucking motion with his hips. It kicks the ball forward.
I don't,
Anthony.
That whole
Gordon.
video sequence, they waited. I mean, they did wait a long time before they pushed that information out, and you wonder why they did that. They wanted to make sure that it was okay to put it out there, and things had died down a little bit, right?
Yes. Where a lot of Arsenal fans were over it.
2 weeks. Why does it take 2 weeks to release the audio? Over 2 weeks, actually.
And you know what? Not only that, but people are listening to the audio as they commentate on the game. So they are commentating with more information than we are.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to, and they are actually telling us a lot of times what's going on. So why not just let us know?
I actually feel bad for the referee. The referee, Stuart Atwell, who, he's not the best referee in the world.
You know what? The rules make no sense. Why spend 5 minutes reviewing it and then go to the referee? Oh, there's nothing to see here.
Because the referee has called it as a goal, right? Knowing they're going to check, VAR are going to check it for him.
They spent 5 minutes looking at it. They weren't sure that what they were seeing is correct either.
You can look at my timeline.
They spent 5 minutes looking at that. So for me, that shows that they were not 100% sure that what they saw was true, and they just made a guess as well.
But there's a tweet on my timeline that I retweeted from Lulu Gunner, and she has a photograph of when did the ball go out or not. You can clearly see green stuff in between the white and the ball. And I can only imagine that green stuff is grass, and it's clearly between the ball and the white line, which tells me that the ball is out, and it's clear as day. And if I can see that in a photograph that's been enlarged, they should be able to see it with the technology.
But you will have people say the edge of the ball.
But there is clear green between the edge of the ball and the white line. You know what I mean? You could fucking you could drive a bus in between it.
You know what? We have goal line technology on both sides. Why didn't he use the goal line technology to get an angle?
Why are there no cameras in the corner flags? You can do that.
There is camera. There has to be cameras on the goal. If they can tell you, Gary, the ball has crossed the line between the sticks of the goals. Why can't they tell you this on the end lines?
Is that technology between the posts, or is it between
probably
the corners, the corner sticks? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's probably between the posts.
No,
it's just.
I think since I mean,
I'm just grasping at straws because
I just don't see how two hands on the back is looked at as, in this instance, not a foul when in 90 out of 100 times it is.
And
a week later, Saka got called for a foul, and it was an elbow on the back, and you saw the player didn't even fall on the ground. He just went and they called that one. Yeah. So if we're talking about consistency, hello,
there is none.
We've actually watched the replay of that. Saw a man put two hands on the back, and then if you waited long enough, you saw the same man put two hands on the neck of the defender.
Yeah.
That's not gaining an advantage. I'm not sure. Like, yes, it's easy to go down when the guy's got two hands on your neck.
But how can you not call violent conduct for a player that's running past another player who's not even looking at him and just smash him in their head with your forearm? It's not like they're jumping up for a header at a set piece and there's a collision.
Yep.
He's jogging by him. The ball's not even at Havertz's feet, so he's not going to go in for a tackle, and that's not deemed as violent conduct. I mean,
The best
that
is-
doesn't make you can't.
best-
How
No,
is
but
that
think
not
about it. The
violent
best is when he
conduct?
actually ran from one side of the pitch to the other side of the pitch and just ran him over. Remember when he just ran Jorginho over and nothing was called? He got a running start like he was doing a long jump, took off down, ran across the other side of the pitch, and just ran straight into Jorginho.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
locked in on
It's
Gino.
nuts.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know what? It's like when the linebacker is like, you got to hit that guy with the ball. He just went.
Yeah.
Then put his hands on two players' necks. I mean, he did everything wrong in that game. Did everything in his willpower to get sent off. And the referees are like, not today, fella. I am
Yeah.
not keeping you out of this game. You are going to finish all 90 minutes of this game.
Yeah.
And what I hate most is the aftermath. Now you're the manager, having seen all of this go on, and he's gonna get fined for calling it out. I understand it if he went, you're all a bunch of fucking wankers and you don't know what you know what I mean, and started effing and jeffing and that. But what do they expect? Football is an emotional game, and you want to hear what he has to say near enough straight after the game. And I think, as much as he was perplexed, I think he articulated it quite well. He said he felt it's a disgrace. Why can't he say that? It's no much than saying, like, if you've got a player that goes into 2-footed and breaks a player's leg, other people would be saying that's a disgrace, and the club would have to accept that their player acted disgracefully in that moment. So why are you not allowed to give equal criticism to those that are doing the officiating?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, I've seen other managers do it and not get fined. I've seen Klopp, you know. Yes, he was impassioned, but he didn't call them a bunch of morons and inept. Do you know what I mean? And even if he said I felt they were inept, what's wrong with saying that? Clean word.
Yeah.
It's a clean word. What, you just got to suck it up and say nothing.
I'm between corruption and incompetence. I'm leaning more towards corruption and manipulating results. There's four things
right there, right? They're going out to the Middle East in the middle of the week, played out there, and then they're coming back and officiating games that have connections to these clubs. Whether they're taking money or not, it's still a conflict of interest. You can't work for one bank from Monday to Friday and then at weekends go and work for another bank across the road to earn extra money. It's a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
And that's a conflict of interest because these clubs have links. I mean, they're having a judgment this week. If clubs like Newcastle are allowed to go to the club in Saudi Arabia and get Neves in as cover, there's a motion for that. So there's a motion for that because it's a conflict of interests. Then surely it's a conflict of interest that the adjudicators of the fucking game are going over to the same fucking countries and being paid to ref. Do you know what I'm getting at? I mean, it's not brain science, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Rocket
Alonso
science.
said, Stan, they should play a night game at the Emirates. I have the stadium lights go out and have Havertz's tombstone. Bruno. Listen, we know we're debating something we all know is tampered with and no accountability or consequence are held to anyone. But you know,
No,
we'll get a cursory apology.
He's been fined, and he's got until Tuesday. He's got until the 21st to do some sort of appeal or whatever. But he has been fined by the FA or whatever. But he's got until the 21st to appeal it or what have you.
And
I don't know how much.
They said what he was fined for.
They had all this stuff. I'll find it if you want.
It's on probably on your timeline right now. For criticizing the officials, bringing the game, probably they're using the one guy, bringing the game into disrepute.
I love that one, don't they?
They love to roll that one out.
But when their official doesn't draw a line and gets subsequently fired and then rehired again.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
take them serious about what they're
We
talking about.
had
Like this is where Arsenal needs to go. No, we're not paying your fine. You fix your house, and I'll fix my house. All right. We'll talk to our manager about how he's conducting himself, and you figure out how to actually officiate a game properly. Because all they've done now is just gotten worse and worse with the VAR. Right. As soon as that happened, how long were there VARs after that for just one infraction? Right.
VAR's made them lazy. I've been saying this for a little while now.
It's supposed to be clear and obvious, but they're going, like you say, lazy and not making a call at all. If a player is offsides by you should see it, then you call it offsides and move on. It happens all the time before.
These guys don't even get a sweat on, Gary. They're not even running around anymore. The referee.
Do you want to hear this FA statement?
Ahead, Stan.
So this is the FA statement. Mikel Arteta has been charged with a breach of FA Rule E3.1 following comments that he made in media interviews after Arsenal's Premier League game against Newcastle United on Saturday, the 4th of November. It's alleged that his comments constitute misconduct as they are insulting towards match officials and or detrimental to the game and or bringing the game into disrepute. Mikel Arteta has until Tuesday, the 21st of November, to provide a response to this charge. So there you go.
We should prepare a generic statement similar standards.
Yeah, why did you give them a sterile apology like we get from them?
You know what's in disrepute?
Sorry.
We're sorry.
You know what's in disrepute?
What?
PGMOL.
Yep. Yeah.
That's when you look at the definition. That's what should be there. The way they officiate the games, the way that VAR is being instituted, the way that they respond when they make a mistake, right?
Yeah. And
they've yet to, they're not going to put out any audio about when they make a mistake, right?
And then you've got Howard Webb. And
like what was the audio when they didn't put the lines down? What was the audio when they actually forgot when they said the wrong set of words, which meant the referee continued on with the game. No, when in reality they were trying to contradict what was going on.
Yeah,
that's bad. They didn't I bet you they didn't review that one on the Owens and Webb show or whatever it's called.
Yeah, the Howard Webb and Michael Owen.
Who the fuck wants to listen to Michael Owen anyway? Jesus, I'd rather watch fucking paint dry. Or
see how he responded?
Yeah.
See how he responded?
Very bad.
He's a professional, right? He's a professional media person, and he responded that way. He still has a job.
Who said that? Michael Owen said that? He still has a job?
When he went after what did he call? I forgot the phrase he used, but basically it was a derogatory term towards those who weren't happy with the way that things are being done out there with the PGMOL. So
it's ridiculous. And as somebody said, what's going to happen next weekend? But there's going to be something every weekend. I think we need to go back to a referee with 2 linesmen or 2 assistant referees and get rid of the VAR completely, because you have 8 people now.
Mate. It's just not going to go, is it? You can't stuff it back into its bottle. And as myself and Mr. Tom say, I think the best thing that you could do is you hire regular people. Obviously, you've got to, give them exams to make sure they're not fuckwits, but, regular, astute people that don't fucking like football. There's people out there that don't really like football. Do you know what I'm getting at? Hire people that don't really like football and you train them. Once you get a program together and understand how to operate the technology, you train them. You put together a handbook with the procedures. You understand the language and dialogue that's used in situations and you stick to it. And what you do is you start gradually putting these people in. You take a couple of the refs and idiots out, put more of them in until you get to a stage where you have a competent panel of people who are just there for the fucking job. Like, for example, people that sit in casinos in the safe room, right, and count money. Do you think they enjoy counting money? No. But they're good at it because they've been trained to do it and they're paid to do it. And you can do that with VAR. It doesn't have to be ex-players. you could then say, oh, he played for that team, so he's given them a, you know what I mean? That's the biggest bias for players. Shouldn't use referees because we've seen it. They literally have told us we panic when we have to go into the VAR room. We literally shit ourselves because now if you train people, this is your job. This is what you do. Whether it takes 6 months to 9 months to train them thoroughly, and you can do test scenarios, put people in like that, and let's see how that runs. Or program AI and let that run it.
You always have that one guy in VAR going, "You happy with that? Are you happy with that?" Trying to give them the out, trying to help
planting
them.
seeds of doubt,
which is not it's not the job. That's basically you're just showing how corrupt you are. Because that's not the job. The job is to provide information to the official so he can make a decision.
Yeah,
and they're using VAR to make. This is where I kept saying they're using VAR to perfect the game, right? No, it's not meant to perfect the game. You can never perfect the game unless you review every second of every point of that game.
Not when you have Michael Owen.
This is what Michael Owen said. He said, you're just scumbags. Always have been. Trawl through a load of messages until you find a couple of negative ones and then create an article. Most people thought the show was insightful and educational, which is our aim.
Michael Owen?
Yes.
This
show is insightful and educational.
He said that?
That's what he said about his own show.
Did you watch it?
I've seen like the little. No, I've never watched it. I don't think I can, or maybe I can watch it.
It's on Sky, right? Originally, it's on
Peacock.
It's on VPN or something.
You can see it on Peacock as well.
Okay, I'm not going on my way to.
I've got Peacock. I'll be digging it, right?
Yeah, I think you can find it. I'm not sure what the show's called.
I'm not looking for. I'm not going on my way to look for it
because I'm having trouble getting to sleep at night. Mark alone put me right out.
Okay, there you go. It's nonsense, basically.
It's Howard Webb who was supposed to clean up the game, but he's just making excuse after excuse about how this could. It's not incompetence. It's just this is what he felt like doing on the given day.
This guy's running.
He's basically being paid to write apologies, isn't he?
No, think about it. This guy works for the PGMOL and he has time to do a TV show. Usually, referees are on TV when they retire, right?
Yes.
They retire and they go and work for the sports stations, and they are the voice of reason when something happens, right? This guy's in the middle of a job. Wait a second, time out. I got to go do a TV show. I'll be back in 5 hours. Are you kidding me?
No, but this is also supposed to clean up. Gary, this is the PGMOL because he's supposed to be like, he's the new head of it. This is them being transparent. This is supposed to be transparency. Yet, when they release the audio over 2 weeks later, why can't they release the audio when they do the post show? The post show, all that post show bollocks.
Not only that, but they didn't release the video of the 2 red card incidents, which they got wrong.
It's sanitized.
Said it. They said
2
they
weeks
got
later,
it wrong.
They said
they got the red cards wrong. They showed a red card for Abbott and a red card for Bruno. Where's the audio for those?
Yeah, exactly, Gary. And they released it 2 weeks later because half of the Arsenal fan base are not bothered talking about it anymore. That's why. Right, and for every bad PGMOL decision we do have a very, very good game sometimes, right? Chelsea won a game over that team, and it's debatable whether they were better than that team, but they won.
Better. They just happened to get
4-1. But the high line, what about that high line from Ange?
That's just
they played.
The way
they played 5 yards inside your own half, Gary.
That's the way they play, mate.
That's the way they play, mate.
It makes absolutely
we love our Australian viewers.
If you know anything, if he knew he just took over, he knows that. Guess what? They can play with 9 players, and especially the way they've been playing all season, they could have played with 9 players and probably see that thing out and probably even get the win. Yeah. He doesn't understand his own team. Everybody watching that match was like, "What are they doing? They're getting opportunities to score without having to create this nonsense."
Yeah. It was like a training exercise.
Think about it. They are the masters of of a counterattack, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
We're,
Owen doesn't say
we're
anything.
Michael Owen right now. We're just nodding in agreement.
Yeah, no,
Like one of those fucking dog ornaments on the back seat of a car.
it's like
Bobbleheads. Yeah.
Wobbly.
Yeah.
just nodding his head.
So, yeah.
Back corner.
There was a couple of decent games. We were just talking about the Chelsea Tottenham game, Stan, with that high line from Ange, just inside the halfway line.
I'm so glad you brought Tottenham up because I just want to say this to everybody that's listening. The fall of Tottenham has started, and believe me and trust me, it's going to be absolutely spectacular. There is no way on this earth that they're going to be able to continue with what they've been doing with 3 of their back line now, man. Udogie's suspended for 3 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they got to field up. Anyone fielding a back line with Emerson Royale and Eric Dyer in it, you're in banging trouble, mate. So I think that they're going to be missing out a lot. You know, they're going to lose. They're going to drop a lot of points. They're going to fall away, and it's just going to be hard to get them points back. There's a fall coming.
And the upset points, I felt like my upset points were more secure than yours, but you did it in more spectacular style with Wolverhampton Wanderers beating Tottenham.
It was bang. I thought everyone was going to go for Wolves. I was like, come on.
Everybody got an upset pick, though. Everybody got one.
Everybody got points.
Everybody going into that. I think
Gary and Tom and no, was it me, Gary? Me, Gary, Tom, and Sam.
Yeah,
for Wolves. When I saw that it wasn't a full house, I was like, "What? Surely this is you know."
It was like the boat of the Titanic.
It was upset weekend, man.
Everyone was jumping on that boat. On the Titanic.
Yeah, I'm on that boat for the next few weeks. Just you don't have to send me a text anymore, Ray, asking me what my pick is. Just put me down for Tottenham for the next 3 weeks or so.
Do you remember when Liverpool had lost whatever they had lost 3 in a row, and it was like they can't lose again. It's like no, that's my upset pick. They lost like 4 or 5 in a row. It was like
6.
Yes.
I
was like, no way, they're going to lose a 4th one, and then zing.
Tiger was like, told you that they're like a Christmas tree.
Playing like a team 3rd bottom of the league or some shit like that, weren't they as well?
The tree comes down after Christmas. They've started early.
Gary eating up his points that weekend, and it was like Pac-Man. He was just like, enough points.
Yeah, Tottenham go goal up early on against Wolves, but then they don't add to that, and they got what came to them in the end.
And you know what? I think the news now is that their manager or the CEO or whatever has said like they're done shopping. They won't be shopping in January. They've got everything they need.
Can't believe that was going for Chelsea for 2 weeks. Yeah, listen, that's the other game, right? The City Chelsea game as well. I'd love to dwell on Tottenham, but I think we'll have more laughs at Tottenham's expense. And we won't see James for a while, probably. James Rodriguez.
Oh, do you see that Steven's comment there about Chelsea?
Right. So how would you guys feel if the league took away all of Chelsea titles for their breaches? It would actually give Tottenham a title.
I'd be absolutely gutted. I'd write a letter on their behalf.
Like they're the whole of the like
strongly worded one.
All the English fans would say, you know what?
They'd have an asterisk.
Just like, no, it wasn't that bad. Chelsea didn't do anything wrong. Like, what do you mean? No, it's all right. It's all right. Just move on. Move along.
What? In the wider,
right? It couldn't happen to a nicer club.
In the wider context, how do you feel about all that? Because like this could happen to City. This could happen to Chelsea. This is going to happen to Everton.
Well, it's going to happen to Everton, and my response immediately was, "Yeah, well done and all that. Yeah, lovely, Man City." But maybe because Man City has such a fucking wide array of charges, it takes longer to put it together. If you're going to put something together, you got to make sure it's tight. You know what I mean?
My thing is, if you can't, my thing, if you got 115, just pick one.
Maybe these ones like Chelsea and Everton or whatever. Maybe these are test runs. Maybe this is like the test run for the biggie.
Dude, you got 150. And you're telling me like one of them is like easy peasy compared to the other ones? Like they all can't be at the same level of complexity in terms of determining
Yeah.
whether or not something a little shady went on. You
I
know
think
what I
they're
mean?
actually
Like,
trying to
Here's
say
the thing, right? If you
they're
strip
trying
away
to-
Chelsea's title, let's say there's 4 teams that one of those seasons that qualified for the Champions League and they were the league winners so they went in. If you're the 15, I'd be sitting there as the owner thinking, well,
the revenue.
that means I would have been 4th, and that means that the money that my winning money for the year would be X amount of million more. Am I going to get that money? Because now in the history books, you're saying that my team now finished 4th. Even if you finished 4th, you'd be like, well, that means I finished 3rd, and that's an extra. How do you do all of this back admin stuff? There's that. What about teams that are relegated?
that's when you're supposed to get a fine, right?
You know what I'm getting at? It causes a
yeah.
lot of,
It's
What
too-
causes a ripple effect.
the fine should be a deterrent for it, and as you say, the fines could add up to like hundreds of millions of pounds if you think about it at the end of the day, because as you said, a lot of money went the wrong way in some cases. Like they received money for that. They received the revenue the next year from playing in the Champions League, right?
Good
I
point,
mean, so
Gary.
like
they received money that they shouldn't have, revenue that they shouldn't have had. So do they pay that back? Yeah.
each home game is revenue they weren't going to get because they would have been playing in Europa League or they would have been out of Europe altogether, right?
Hold on, someone in the chat just said that could mean that Tottenham would win a title. No, Chelsea are innocent. Everyone protest. Everyone protest now. Chelsea are innocent.
You could take away Chelsea's Champions Leagues. You could take those away.
Is the Europa League also something they would have taken away, and then the Baku never actually happened? If I told you Baku never happened, would you go?
Sounds like a Star Wars.
Get that double decker bus out, man. Get it out. Fucking hell.
Baku never happened. They would never end the game. If you look at the scorebook, you look at the record books, it doesn't even have Chelsea in the finals. Yeah. It just has Arsenal versus.
There you go. We won the Europa League. Stan.
You know what I would love us to do if that happened, right? And it turns out that we're taking away that title. It was Arsenal. If I was Arsenal, I'd like fuck it. I'd get the double decker bus out, the trophy, and do a fucking parade just to piss off everyone else. Going, oh look at them.
Make it gold because it'd be a special. Nobody's had an FFP infraction that gets them a European trophy.
Yeah.
And look, we got one, so we make ours gold or platinum or whatever medal we want to use. Because guess what? Nobody's got one of those.
I think Stephen has a great point here. Points deductions in themselves are not good enough.
True.
Penalties need to be huge. They cheated other clubs out of the huge sums of money.
You know what? Here's the thing. PGMOL was doing the exact same thing year after year after year after year. Teams may be getting relegated. Teams may not be finishing in the top 4 in European spots because they are poor at what they do. And points are being dropped and added in the wrong direction sometimes.
Let me ask you this question. Putting in a devil's advocate token, Gary, you take over a business. You go in, you take over a business. You start investing money into it, and then a couple of years in, you get a letter telling you that the guys that you bought this business off. Turns out they done a few shady things, and now you're the one that's going to have to, recompense that. You're responsible. How would you feel? Because basically the ownership has changed, right? Should they? Do you know what I'm getting at? It's a very murky thing.
Wouldn't be happy.
That's why Chelsea is self-reporting all of this now, so they don't have to deal with that nonsense. Like anything, they're like basically saying anything that you got on Roman is not us, so keep us out of it. That's basically what they're saying.
One, right?
No, but that's what they're doing. They're getting ahead of the game and saying, "Look, you know what? We're not going to wait till 5 years down the line. We saw it. We're like, here, it's not ours. It's not ours. It's not us. It's not the way we run our business, right?" So they are trying to get ahead of it, so it doesn't become that kind of a problem. It makes the team look bad, but I think that's the only way you can do this kind of cleanly without affecting your future.
Yeah. Come clean before you get caught. You hear that, Man City?
It's not really getting caught because the people at Chelsea had nothing to do with any of that. right? They're not, unless what they're doing now with with what 20, 30, 40 players they brought in, if that comes back to haunt them, that's on them. But anything that happened before they got there, they're like, no, just washing my hands. It's not us. It wasn't us. So
They already went through. They already had that ban where Frank Lampard had to play a lot of the young players a few years ago. They had a
these
transfer
are new
ban.
charges, right?
Yeah,
The
Like a
money that
transfer
went
ban,
to
yeah.
the money
Yeah.
that went to Coutinho. I didn't realize that's what happened, right? He just woke up one day and his bank account had £7 million in it, and then he
Who's
didn't know.
this?
Coutinho, like the whole
Coutinho?
Coutinho deal, right? That's one of the allegations that they took money, they put money underneath the table, and it ended up in one of the players'
Coutinho.
bank account. Coutinho, yeah. Is
Was
it
he at
Coutinho?
Chelsea?
No, not Coutinho. It was Havertz. Sorry, Havertz.
Oh,
Not Havertz. What's his
Hazard.
name? Hazard. Sorry,
Eden Hazard. Okay,
Hazard. Sorry, I got the
with Real
names.
Madrid.
So I
Yeah.
think that's I believe that's what happened, if I recall. They were saying,
I didn't know
yeah.
anything
Let me
about
just
that.
reconfirm that. Yeah.
Now,
I've not actually read any of it, to be honest.
No.
I just heard that
I
there's a
didn't hear
threat
about
of a
this.
deduction, but I've not actually had the time to read anything.
Everton had 36 points last season with a full season, 12 points deducted.
What
How
are they
did
getting their
Everton-
points deducted for, by the way? Exactly.
They're financial irregularities.
Oh, FFP breaches.
Yes, 12 points. That could relegate them. I had somebody saying to me earlier, only 2 points behind.
Yeah,
United,
they won
United.
three Premier League,
It's not going to be
5
good.
FA Cups, 2 League Cups, a Champions League, and a Europa League.
It's not going to be good. I just hope all of the sweets shops and corner shops in Merseyside have stocked up on their opal fruits, man, because I got a feeling something's going to go down.
Sean Dyche. Yeah. But
Gonna go
the
up.
people are trying to say they're only a couple points behind Sheffield United and Burnley. They're in a relegation fight. You take those 12 points away. They're in a relegation fight with 20 games,
It's going to kill them.
25 games
It's
to
going to
go.
kill you, isn't it?
Yeah. Take those 12 points away. You're going to be
It's not like
close
it's
to.
just dropping you into mid-table. You're at the end of the
Yeah.
table as it is, man. And you're minus
Yeah,
12.
they've only staved off relegation in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
In the last few weeks. You know.
Yeah,
Don't tell
you know what?
me.
The 7 million actually went to the agent, but it was through back channels, basically.
As
If
Steve said,
they go out and lose their next 4 games, and plus you add on the points, that's 24 points. You see what I'm getting at? They're already 12 points in the hole, and you go out and lose the next 4 games, that's another 12 points.
Yep.
That's you're done. Kipper.
I was listening to a show, and they were like, "So who do you think is going to get relegated this year?" And they're like, "Everton, Everton, Everton."
I think it's going to be hard for Luton to stay up, Tiger. I think it's either going to be Burnley or Sheffield United stay up at the expense of Everton.
They might be they might be that bad that they might still.
Yeah.
They might.
The 3 teams.
Get enough.
It's 3 teams that are bad. Might just be that bad, Gary. You're right.
Yes.
You know?
I think the league is moving in a direction where the relegated team has to be really good. Like Leicester might be a team coming up. That might be the only kind of way that they can stay
Leeds.
up.
The mighty
You know what I mean?
Leeds.
Leeds, it might be a struggle for them to stay up. But Leicester,
when they come back in.
Leicester, Leicester, the way they're playing, they might be all right staying in the league.
Right. This is a nice segue. The problem is Chelsea looked like they're starting to click. That was a decent game.
I don't think anybody
4-4.
would be surprised by that, right? Eventually, the talent will see through no matter what. But if you have a good manager who's able to get them to play together, they'll be all right.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Chelsea Tottenham game.
Chelsea. Let's go to Chelsea City game.
Talking about.
You can talk about the Chelsea Tottenham game as well. We did mention how Chelsea were so bad that they were able to beat Tottenham 4-1 with 2 sending offs. But the City game as well. Four goals conceded by City. You know, if we can just hang in there, we could push City all the way if we hang in there and keep winning games.
City are showing a lot of vulnerabilities this season compared to other seasons past. They're still fantastic, but they are showing some vulnerabilities as some of the scores are showing, right?
Yeah. You have a situation where Haaland is going to score a lot of goals.
He scored of his nuts the other day. Jesus, I mean, his nuts literally wear football boots.
Now, Stan, you cannot verify that.
He
Did
said that.
VAR help you with that?
He said that. He said, I've never scored with my nuts before.
Okay. That's bringing the this. He never
These little
scored
nuts,
with
right?
these nuts. Alonso,
nuts.
these nuts.
Exactly, man.
He's never scored with these nuts before. And then a wild Jeff Jarrett appeared.
Just your shit.
Now,
One for you wrestling fans out there.
the few.
Sorry, Ray.
no problem. It's going downhill anyway. It's fine. 4-4. 4-4. Listen, a good result. I'll take it. Anytime City drop points, it sort of redresses what happened to us against Newcastle. We get 2 points back from that debacle, and if we go unbeaten the rest of the season, we can look at that Newcastle game and say we were robbed of another golden trophy. Let's say,
Yeah. Brentford all over again. It's this season's Brentford for me.
All right, we can mention Brentford this season.
Now we know. Yeah, we know that you can hit people in the head. You can run. You can do football tackles from across the field. You can put your hands on people's necks. You can put 2 hands on the back and neck of a defender to clear them out of the way, so that you can nudge the ball over with your arm so your teammate can score.
Yep.
So we know all of that now.
Now we know. And Howard Webb told us all that, right? And Michael Owen. But
apparently all of that's within the rules.
It's all within the rules of the game. Yeah. What you can't do, Gary, if you're a Newcastle fan, you cannot travel 10 hours to Bournemouth and criticize your players for not putting the effort in. If you're a Newcastle fan, you're not allowed to do that, according to Kieran Trippier, But hey, what do we know? We are going well in the Champions League group. That's one of your markers, Gary. Top the Champions League group.
Yeah, we got to get at least a draw in one of our next 2 matches, and then we're definitely through. We want to win the group, so I think we need to get a win. For my eyes, I think we should be able to win. We should be able to get because we
have a
one of those
5-point
matches
gap,
at home.
A 4-point gap.
Play PSV on the road. We should be able to get a win. It'd be nice to get the win and then play at home and let the kids play. I was happy to see the kids. I was happy to see the kids, 3 kids on the bench. I just thought one of them would get at least a sniff of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. And Aaron can start a game as well, hopefully, in Champions League. He does deserve at least to play 1 game in Champions League, I believe.
PSV away would be a very hostile atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
They're not shy in supporting their club, the PSV and the Dutch.
That's why we need to go there, like the Sevilla game, not Sevilla, the Lens game. That was like, wow, it's pretty loud here.
Good atmosphere there.
We need to be able to play in that kind of situation and come out ahead. We can't let the energy of a stadium win us, beat us up. Just like when we played Brentford, right? When they came up, first game of the season, Friday night, the crowd was going crazy, and we wilted under that pressure. That's going to happen all the time. We need to learn from what we've learned from that, and respond in kind, and shut up the crowd.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're on 9 points, and Sevilla is on 2, Lens and PSV on 4 points. or 5 points. If I'm not mistaken, 5 points. So yeah, we need a win to guarantee safe passage into the knockout rounds. We should top the group at this point. One more win needed to do it.
I mean, the two teams that we play are right behind us. So, we win one of them, we're through. We win, we draw the fourth game. We definitely win. So
Yeah. Lawn
I think
support.
also if we don't drop points, if we don't lose in the two games, I think we're in as well. So
yeah,
I told you
I
that
think
story, didn't I,
yeah.
about the Lawns fans? The club was going into liquidation at one point. I don't know how long ago this was, kind of recent days, and a lot of financial problems. So one of the things that the fans did to help pay the club out of its debt, they were giving blood. Giving blood, and the money that they were getting for the blood samples, they were paying directly to the club. They've literally kept the club going with their own blood.
They spilled blood for their club.
Yeah,
in the nicest possible way, for sure. Yeah, listen, anything else to chat about? We can talk about the Burnley game real quick. Trossard took. I did feel we would score before the halftime, but we did score right on halftime, and then what they equalized. Is that right? They got level, and Saliba scored. I think that was important to score right after they tied the game up on us with Saliba. I think his first goal of the season. And who scored the third goal?
Zinchenko
with the nice little
yes,
Karate Kid.
Yes.
Yeah. Wax on, wax off.
I thought he had a tidy game. I thought Zinchenko had a good game, and I was going to give him man of the match before he scored that goal.
Alonso?
I don't. I think Trossard had a really good game.
What about Zinchenko, Alonso?
Zinchenko.
I'm not his biggest fan, but I personally think he had a good game.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned on Gary's show, I think defensively he's gotten better, and
he's trying.
I think that goal was really, really class. And I think, like I mentioned, Stan, on Gary's show, that Gabriel Megalegs and Zinchenko had done better on the left hand side, and I must admit I've been hard on both of them in the past. And they seem to worked it out to where they have solidified themselves as a good left hand defensive partnership there along the flanks as well. So yeah, fair play to both of them. I think Zinchenko has probably known that he has to work on his defense to be a left back at Arsenal, the way Arteta has played the system that he wants. And Zinchenko has done pretty good so far this past month, especially. So yeah, I mean, he's done pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And that goal was pretty cool, man.
No, it was a good goal. I know Zinchenko is not the cup of tea of the bottom row here of the podcast here. Gary's probably not crazy about him either. I don't know exactly where Gary is on Zinchenko. Tomiyasu is much more a better recognized defender.
Tomiyasu should be our left back. I mean, if he's healthy now, he should be our left back. Ben White comes back. So I mean, the one good thing about this season is we have a really strong back four. Now we have at least five with Tomiyasu showing up. We knew we had Timber, so he comes back before the end of the season. We'll have 6 players on that back line, and Kirill is just learning the ropes right now. So it's good that we have at least those answers right now. We know Ben White can go in the middle if he needs to, right? So I think that's the one thing Arteta has done. We've got a solid back line there now. We can depend on them. We don't really have to go, well, wonder who's going to be playing. No, we just based on what we've seen so far, we know even when Kiwior comes in there and plays on that back line, we're not too concerned there either. You know what I mean? So it's pretty. Arteta's done a good job with that back line. The goalkeeper's usually safe in most games.
Yeah.
I
And
heard a really good stat yesterday, and the season that we won the Invincibles, if you name our Invincible 11, which everybody knows, you know, what our 11 was, that team only played with each other twice in the whole season.
Don't tell Tony.
Only played together. The team that you would name as the Invincible team only played together twice in the season as an 11. There were a lot of other players that came in to do stuff
Supporting
as well.
cast.
It wasn't
Yeah.
just like one group of people for 3/4 of the season, you know.
Takes a full squad.
I'm terrible at lining ups and remembering stuff, but when I heard that, I was like, wow, I didn't recall that.
Yeah.
it's called a team for many reasons. That being one.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
we like I said, we've switched our back line pretty much every game. There's barely any game where there are a few times when we play the same back four in back-to-back games, but usually we've been switching it in and out. And guess what? Not too many teams have been able to get through us. You know, once in a while they do, but usually not. Not when we're going with our strongest back four. So he's done a good job there. It would be nice if we had a front line like that as well. And a midfield as well. We kind of need. We got more in the front line than we do in the midfield. The midfield is basically where we're killing ourselves because we've got some players who are just passengers there. Some players that I think aren't long for going in. You know, going a month playing kind of thing. So
Yeah.
we still lack the depth there.
I struggle with this. I've kept this caption for a year now: to be or not to be, progressive or pragmatic, and I think we've changed to be a more of a pragmatic team from last season. Zinchenko is still that piece that divides the fan base probably more than Ramsdale and Raya at this point. You know, Zinchenko is more progressive. The questions are asked, and they're valid questions. Why can't Zinchenko play in midfield?
I saw, you know, have you ever seen these articles when it says like, we put everything into a supercomputer and they told us who would win the league and who would win the FA Cup? Well, I saw one that was like, we put all the information into a supercomputer and about Arsenal, about what it would need to win the league this season. And apparently this supercomputer says that we need a left back, a central midfielder, and a striker.
Yeah. You look at the team and you can see the Havertz situation. We haven't really talked about Havertz and don't need to tonight.
But I found it interesting that it said left back. Do you know what I mean? It didn't say cover for Saka.
Because we have Tomiyasu. Yeah, I didn't say cover for Saka. We have Tomiyasu who can defend when he picked and do the job. But we also have Zinchenko who plays more minutes probably than Tomiyasu. If we were to look at the minutes right now, and I'm not going to, but probably Zinchenko has more minutes than Tomiyasu in the team. And probably Havertz could score more goals than Eddie Nketiah if he was given the opportunity to be that central striker. You know,
but why, Ray? Because whether he plays in midfield or through the middle or on the right or on the left, we've seen him in the penalty box in front of the goal and missing and either hitting fresh air, hitting it wide, heading it wide over the bar. So you know it's not like he's playing in midfield. He's not getting any scoring opportunities. He's been getting into the box and being provided with opportunities, and he scuffed them.
I think I heard
right or wrong. So it
right.
doesn't matter what position he's playing. Oh, he's in the wrong position. You see more of him. He's been in the fucking opportunity to put it in the back of the net.
He's had nine shots all season.
You know why? Because he's scared. He's scared. So the reason why he doesn't have his many shots. It's because he's scared and he's timid. He doesn't want to go in there with the big boys and fight for a ball that's being crossed in there. That's why he doesn't have as many shots. He's really, really late going into the box. He's not really engaging and attacking like he's supposed to. That's why he doesn't get as many chances. He's not good, but I'd rather have him up top than in the midfield,
I
punishing
think he's
us
better
there
up top
because
than in
it's
midfield.
more of a lesser of two evils kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
like Xhaka at right back or left back, or Xhaka in the middle. I want him in the middle, please, because I don't want him nowhere near that back line. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Like Havertz, same thing for me. I don't want him in the midfield because I feel we're going to get punished
Yeah.
more for it, and he kind of splinters the front and the back lines from each other on one side of the pitch when he plays there. So no, keep him up top. Maybe a ball will. Maybe when he's not looking, the ball will fall, hit him in the head and go in for a goal. You know what I mean? There's more chance of
Yeah.
that than something else happening. So
He could be the fabled Plan B.
And
he is
and
not.
it's not like
You know what?
he's
He is
taking
not. He's just a really, really bad. It's a really bad decision to bring him
60.
in.
We really
Very-
squeezed.
And-
We really cut down the price from Chelsea down to 65, right?
it's not like he's taking these chances where he's trying to curl them in from outside of the box into the top bins. He's right in the penalty area, right in front of the goal, and
Yeah.
he's missing them. Let me ask you, right? What position was Carl Havertz playing in the last match?
Left. Was he left midfield?
It was right 8.
Right eight.
Second
Okay.
striker. He was playing as a second striker for most
Was
of
he?
that game.
Oh, where
Yeah.
he's
Second
playing, but where
striker. In my eyes, he was playing as a second striker.
Against
there
Burnley,
and
you
there
would
was
have
still, there was
to,
still no
yeah.
goal involvement.
Yeah. He's had 9 shots all season. That's all season.
No,
You
but you're
should
like
have-
making out that that's our fault. Like
Me?
you're making out like there's a reason why he only has 9. No,
No,
he's not good.
no.
He's
That's,
not
I'm
good.
not
As I say,
saying.
those nine aren't
great
cold
line.
shots from out the area where it's like, oh, you know, these are 9 opportunities where he's
That's-
literally right in front of the goal, man.
That's on him, Gary.
Right, he's
That's
usually
on him.
right in the action area. You know,
Yeah.
That's on him. That's on him. Listen, we'll get out of here unless anyone has any final points to make. I do want to ask you one question before we go. It sort of relates to the Sunday show. I'm bringing Jack Mack, one of the Liverpool boys, on Sunday.
Eddie's mum. Oh.
And his mom, yeah. I want to talk about where they are and where we are, and it's pretty tight at the top, right? Are we better than Liverpool right now, Alonso? Are we better than Liverpool right now?
Defensively, yeah. I mean, I would say defensively, our back four is better than their back four. But one player that always worries me is Salah, and he can still do the job. So for them, so one way to do that is if we could stop them, and if Zinchenko is up for it, that's up to him. Besides that,
Let me ask
you know,
against
right.
Salah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Tomiyasu can do the job. Whether or not Arteta puts him in that position or not, it's up to Arteta. Well, yeah, I think we're similar in the sense that we're chasing City. I didn't think that they'd be this far ahead of their plan to be back this early.
They've recovered quite well, yeah.
With Klopp, you never know. And I think Klopp's always done a good job with preparing their opponents. Last year was a down year for them. But we should never take them for granted as an opponent. Because on their day, they can be very good. But again, I think their defense still needs some work. Though, you know, I think we could game on Boxing Day.
Well, yeah, on 23rd of December, I think.
Oh,
Who wants to
yeah,
go
yeah.
next? Who wants the last word and who wants to go next, Stan or Gary?
Gary can have the
Dave,
last
go.
word. First of all, is Dave coming on?
I can ask him on, but
I
yeah,
just wondered if Dave was, because I like listening to Dave. But
Yeah.
comparing Arsenal to Liverpool, I think that there's not much in the defence between our defences. We both have some diamonds in our defences, you know. Obviously, they edge it with the keeper, but I don't think there's much in it. I think it's probably the same with the midfield between Liverpool and Arsenal as well. I don't think there's a vast difference between the midfields of Liverpool and Arsenal. There's not one that's greater than the other, you know.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think where there is a difference, though, I do think that Liverpool edge it in their attack.
Yeah.
Their players in attack seem to have more consistency, Bukayo Saka notwithstanding,
Yeah.
but the rest of them, I think that they do have more consistency than, say, Martinelli and whoever we're playing at number 9. And I say whoever we're playing at number 9 because unlike Liverpool, we don't have a steady front three that seem to be the same people playing.
Yeah.
You know, we're having, is it Eddie? Is it going to be Trossard? Is it going to be Havertz? Because, you know, Jesus is fucking injured again. So
Yeah.
I think that they do edge it at the moment with their attack. Maybe that could be the difference.
Yeah, Gary's going to get the final say, but I think, like you said, Liverpool have a dynamic attack. Their midfield is quite functional, and they've gotten better there. Defensively, they're a little bit suspect. So, but I think the difference is we're stronger at the back and have a stronger number 6. We're not as strong going forward. I do think over the full season, though, we will have more than Liverpool in the title race, but I'm happy there's 4 or 5 teams that's going to compete with City. Gary, thanks for taking the show. Hosting the show was last Thursday. Thank you for doing that. Stan, thank you for being here tonight. Alonso, thank you for joining. And Tony's not here, so Gary gets the last word.
Can I just say, Gary, just before you say the last word, he did offer me to host the show first, but we just couldn't iron out a contract. It got really convoluted, and you know there was installments and
a lot of paperwork,
you know, obligations to buy and shit. We just couldn't work it out.
It's like the Raya.
I just did it for free. So what the world is going on here? I already taken half of what you were being offered or you were asking for.
You was like Kim Kallstrom.
It's only one bag of blue M&Ms. It's not that much. Come on.
I didn't get one M&M.
That is Suarez.
You know, I didn't even get a licked M&M. A slightly used M&M. I didn't even get one of those.
I got some divas here.
No, we're talking about before we head out of here. But you're talking about Liverpool. As long as they've got a Salah, they've got us beat. Because that's we talk about world-class players all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They have one. They have 2 in VVD, Van Dijk, their goalkeeper also. So just they have a, you know, basically you talk about the spine of a team. They've got 3 world-class players. Well, 2 world-class players, and then they got a nice player out there on the right. Right. So they've got a Salah. We don't have that. Otherwise, I think we as you say, we can play with them. But they got a Salah, and I think that's how the end of the season works. That's how it looks when you have a world-class player on your team. You can finish off seasons like they did last season, and we don't have one of those. So I think the fact that we were missing many players, and where we are where we are, I think is promising in the sense that you would help if we get healthy. We should be able to pull away from Liverpool, but we have to get healthy, and we haven't done that, and we have to. You know, if we can get anything out of Havertz, I'll be happy. Right now, we're getting absolutely nothing out of him. No goals and assists for him. So I think that's we're taking an L there. Disappointing, but we are. So that's the difference. Though is the difference is we got a Havertz, they got a Salah. If we had Xhaka right now, I have no doubt we'd probably be playing a lot better football. Right?
Granit Xhaka?
Yes.
We
played a lot better football. We had a Jocker, and that is disappointing.
That's the uncomfortable truth.
That's the crazy thing about all of this, right?
Gary, have you seen one of those vampire films where they go down into the crypt and they open the coffin and they pull out the stake and it comes back to life? It's like Xhaka, isn't it? We've got to go and pull the stake out of Xhaka. Get him back to life.
You know, it was
our Terminator.
I mean, so many Arsenal fans plunged that stake in to begin with, me included.
Yeah. They had an easy decision to make.
Alonso's like, I
him.
told you so.
And they went down the most difficult of paths to answer who replaces
Yeah.
Xhaka. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? They like there we go. What can we do? Nobody would believe
It's
this.
the longest
We're
outro
gonna
ever.
go out of our way and yeah,
Welcome
this
back,
is loud.
mate.
Yeah, you know what? You gave
I'm
me
just
the last
kidding.
word.
I'm kidding.
But
Give us
anyways,
an ammo. Give us an ammo, Ray.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Like I said, they've got 3 world class players on their team. We've got none at this point. We have
We do.
future. We have future world class.
Okay.
No, they have 3. We don't have 1 yet.
All right, but
They are on
who-
their way. They're gonna get there. If they're world class now, then world class doesn't mean
which
as
one
much
of
as we thought it
which
did.
one of the 2 teams will finish in the top 2, Gary?
Arsenal.
We should if we get healthy, we'll be there, right there.
Guaranteed top 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And if we have a good January window, like some people think, we might be supposedly we have 50 million coming in, and supposedly we might be able to sell ESR, and we might be able to sell. We might sell Ramsdale, maybe if we went crazy, you know.
I was watching. Next month is our 5th year anniversary. I was watching the 4th year anniversary 10 months ago. We were talking about Mudrick coming in last year. That was just last year.
Wow.
Happy we dodged that bullet. Gary, I'm going to have the Sunday show. Are you having a show on Saturday?
Yeah, we'll be on the road trip. Will be on Saturday morning over here in the States, and
Right.
We will have the trip on Monday evening as well. So yeah.
All right, cool.
See you
Tune into
Saturday.
that, folks.
DWTT.
Yes.
Well, if we're plugging shows,
I knew you were going to say that. What have you got? You got some
well, I
sponsor?
understand that Mr. Tom and the Wrestling Boys, which I'm a part of, will be doing a watch along.
Me too.
We'll be doing a watch along on
Friends of
Saturday
ours.
of
Yeah.
Russ Morgan's pick. We're going to be doing a watch along of whatever Russ Morgan is going to pick. We don't know what it is,
Oh, no.
what event it will be.
Sounds like dangerous territory.
And for those of you that haven't had your Tony Turner fix, tune in because I'm sure he'll be there.
How many zoom ins does he get, Stan? Does he get 3
On
zoom
the
ins?
regular show each week, he has 3 zoom in tokens he can use per
Well,
show.
I don't do
also
that.
have a what we call
You guys are what do they call it?
Incorrigible.
Yeah, encouraging. You're contributing to the delinquency of a crazy person. He doesn't really need that. He should be looking at us trying to help him, and you guys are out there engaging him. Yeah, I want more of that.
So yeah, Tony has 3 zoom in tokens. I have what is known as a titty in the bank briefcase, which I can cash in on each show as well.
Tony's like a Duracell bunny. We'll leave it at that.
But we'll be doing it on Saturday.
All right. Come see Gary on Saturday morning, Saturday night, this crew, the Fools, and Sunday back here. Your weekend is sorted right there. I'll try and get Dave on as well, Stan.
Just to ask to Tiger and Guna, it's usually about 4 o'clock my time, which is 4 o'clock PST time. So I imagine it will be around about the same time as the weekly show if you're talking about the watch along.
Yeah.
If you've got Peacock or you've got access to the WWE library, then we'll let you know what we're watching, and everyone usually watches along with us while we just basically chat shit.
Yeah, talk shit. But you got to come back here, Tiger and Gunnar, after your travels to DWTT on YouTube and the Fool Nelson podcast. There you go. We've done it all. Thanks, Gary. Well, it was a good chat. You got me. You got me caught up over 2 weeks, Stan. Alonso, thanks as well. All right.
Yeah, good footy chat tonight, and good footy chat in the chat box as well.
Yeah, who would have known all those things could happen in 2 weeks of football? Take care, everyone. We're out of here.